in daily fantasy sports and all your key plays for season-long fantasy sports as well. Whether it's season-long fantasy sports or daily fantasy sports, the Wagner Wire has you covered. Join me, Wags, every Sunday for the best guest in the daily fantasy sports industry, the Wagner Wire, on the Horn. Brought to you by Audiovisual Consultations, the really smart guys that never make you feel stupid. Give them a call at 512-255-8678. Tell them Wags sent you.
Hey folks, it's Bucky here, and I want to tell you about one of my good friends over at Syntex Tickets, Shelby. The best local sources for tickets you need. Syntex Tickets has tickets for every event, from college football to college basketball, NFL, soccer, the theater, Las Vegas, and of course Broadway, South by Southwest, MotoGP, and the PGA. Syntex Tickets is also the best source of tickets for the University of Texas and for future Longhorn and A&M tickets and more. Visit syntextickets.com. Yo, Shelby, get them to me, and get them to me quick.
Mudbugs is celebrating their third birthday this Thursday by throwing a big old birthday bash. Join us to see how we've grown. Prepare to party complete with live music by the Jeff Hayes Trio, drink specials, and of course, you can't have a Mudbugs birthday without loads of steaming hot crawfish. Yee-hoo! We've had a fabulous 3 years, so if it's your first visit or you're one of our regulars, we want to see you this Thursday. Mudbugs, 3006 South Main Street in Buda. Come on out, and as I say in Cajun country, let's have le bon temps roulette!
From the UBO Business Services Studios, you're listening to KTXX FM and HD1 BK, KTAE AM Elgin, K270CO Round Rock.
This is Scott Crossett. I started Apple Leasing in 1985, and I thought, what a great business model. I can lease any make and model of car. My clients only have to pay for the portion of the car they're using. Heck, if I treat my clients right, I should be able to keep them forever. Well, fast forward 37 years, I am now leasing my clients' kids' cars too. But more importantly, Apple helps thousands of clients navigate the cost of the vehicle expense. That's what it's all about, your expense. From high gas prices, no inventory, high interest rates, you name it, we've seen it all. Apple Leasing, our mission is to help you manage your vehicle expense. That's it. I've never seen a crazier market than today. Call Apple Leasing at 512-346-9977. We'll take the time to understand exactly what your needs are and what you're trying to accomplish. Remember, we specialize in helping you get out of your current lease. In these times, when everything costs more, we can offer a more budget-friendly option to drive a car. If you want to talk to an automobile professional that will listen to your needs on an unbiased opinion, call us at 512-346-9977 or click appleleasing.com. Apple Leasing, we're just leasing cars and making friends.
At Anchor Bar, we don't like to brag, but we did invent the Buffalo Chicken Wing in 1964. We've been inducted into the National Chicken Wing Hall of Fame twice. We've won countless national awards. We've even been in an episode of The Simpsons. Wings the way they're supposed to be made. Always fresh, never frozen, premium chicken, fried fresh to order till it's tender on the inside and crispy on the outside. We don't bake wings ahead of time. We don't cut corners. Anchor Bar, real Buffalo wings.
Take the necessary steps to ensure a quick green up this spring. Weedman Lawn Care Austin can help. Request a free lawn care quote at weedman.com. That's weedman.com.
Guests on the Horn appear courtesy of the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina Hotline. Vaqueros now delivers and offers curbside pickup. For info on placing your lunch or dinner order, visit vaqueroscafe.com.
You damn right. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. If you're a nerd, happy Pi Day. If you're a basketball fan, hope your bracket prep is going well. We'll try to give you some ideas. Zay will try to give you some thoughts, some tips. Everybody thinks they've got their way of doing it. We'll see who ends up as the winner this year. We've even got a contest you can enter. It's Chad and Zay on this Tuesday. I'm Chad Hastings, joined once again by Isaiah Collier. He's got his brackets ready, almost. What's up, Zay?
Not even close. I'm going to wait till the very last minute, Chad. The very last minute. You know how I do things.
All right, so are you a one-time, one bracket laminated, and that is gospel guy, or are you a 7 different brackets, one of them's done by your inner child, one of them's done by this side of your personality? Which one are you?
I'll do 7 brackets, but it'll all be the same.
Really?
It'll all be the same.
Why would you need to do multiple brackets if it's all the same?
Well, different leagues and stuff, kind of like fantasy football.
Okay, so you lock yourself in,
right?
But then you'll send it out to a lot of places.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of money that gets thrown around this time of the year.
No doubt.
A la fantasy football. So I'm in different leagues. Got same bracket, but different leagues.
There's also TVs that get thrown around this time of year.
That's right.
Not thrown around, but like TVs that get won and then collected. You can go to hornfm.com and get in on our bracket contest. Obviously, get it done by Thursday. Tip time. First tip time is usually 11:10. Oh, by the way, here's another way to know that tonight and tomorrow night is not the tournament. Zay, when are brackets due?
It should be early Thursday.
Exactly. So if the brackets are due Thursday at 11:10, tonight and tomorrow night can't be tournament games by definition.
Yeah, they don't count.
Right? Everybody knows that. Everyone knows that. That's the logic of it. And finally, the tournament figured that out a couple years ago. Okay, it's not the first round. Really? Is it not the first round? We had no idea. All right, so there are a couple play-in games tonight, which we will mention. We will also ask you for any bracket tips that you have that can maybe help the people that you'd be willing to share. And most importantly, we will have our man Zay, basketball expert extraordinaire, Isaiah Collier. I'm going to build up his reputation as I tell you what he's going to do.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm going to get every pick wrong this
Come
year.
on now. Zay's going to tell you some bracket tips that he has gathered throughout his many years filling out brackets. Every year there's always some interesting stuff of, if you believe in this number, you don't want to do this. If you believe in this, you want to pick this seed. So we will get to all of that. Of course, Texas men getting ready for Colgate coming up Thursday at 6:30. A lot of folks around these parts starting to look up Colgate and figure out what they are. They are certainly a team that can shoot. Don't leave them open, because if you do, they're going to hit shots, and they're going to hit a lot of them. So we're going to be breaking them down as the as
get
the
out
week
the zone,
goes on.
Jim Boeheim.
No zone.
After they hit 10 on you, get out the zone.
Yeah, don't.
No? Okay, 8 more for that ass.
That's
80-60 in the Carrier Dome.
rule number 1. Don't stay in a zone the whole game.
Like, if I'm the AD for Syracuse, you're fired right after that. Like, look, Jim, I love what you've done. It's been a great 40-something years, 47 years. 2003 was lovely. Carmelo Anthony, what he's done for, our university, thank you for that 1 year. Pearl Washington was cool. But, boy, 18 threes, 19 threes, that's a joke against a Patriot League team. I don't care how well they shoot. That's a joke. Run them off the line.
Because I know in football they talk about zone with man principles. You can do that in basketball too, right?
Yeah, matchup zone.
You can have a zone that also has a little man to it.
Yeah, it's called the matchup zone.
As in, hey, that man's shooting a 3. We should probably do something about that man right there. Colgate has the men that will shoot the 3s. I was looking at stats today. They have put up less 3s than Texas this year, but they are better at shooting it than Texas is. They're up at like 41% as a team. Just saying.
Yeah, okay. So just doing a lot of games with Roger Wallace this year for the high school ranks.
Mm-hmm.
From Westlake, Manor, now Bowie. All those gyms compete with Colgate's gym.
Is that right?
Yeah. So the depth perception is marvelous. Like, it's a small little high school type gym. And those goals, it's a tiny gym, Chad, when you don't have rolling goals. When your goals hang and you could go to the wall and, you could flick them on and they drop and they go up. That's how you know the gym's small. Now, Cameron Indoor Stadium, they have that. With Duke,
but they're old school.
But it's Duke.
We know it's what it is.
they got they have their own tradition. They got 5 and 4 stars. Big difference. So Colgate playing that, a big arena.
Even though it's Des Moines, Iowa, it'll be way bigger.
It's still gonna be an arena.
Be bigger than what they dealt with.
Yeah, bigger than what they usually deal with in the Patriot League. Now there's some, different universities and teams that have bigger arenas. Lehigh does. I want to say West Point does also. So they've been able to shoot going on the road. Their record is really good, especially in their conference.
Mm-hmm.
But still, they haven't played the caliber of Texas at all this season. And when they did, they got beat by 30, and Texas is better than Auburn. So we know it's a tournament. Anything can happen.
Sure.
But they're facing a squad in a different environment that they haven't seen this year.
And obviously Texas has been playing some really good defense lately and throughout the season have been taking the best players from the other team out in big moments. So we'll see if they can do that to Colgate. We'll be talking about that matchup this week. Also, before we start digging into brackets, let's give a couple Longhorns some love. UT sent out word today. A couple of Longhorn basketball players ended up on the NABC All-District 8 first and second team. I'll try to explain. The National Association of Basketball Coaches has 24 different districts in D1. District 8 is basically all 10 institutions of the Big 12. Not sure why they call it District 8 and don't just call it the Big 12 District or something like that. But this is essentially an all Big 12 coaches first and second team. Congratulations to Marcus Carr. He is on the first team. Congratulations to Timmy Allen, who is on the second team. Other first-team members are Adam Flagler of Baylor, Keontae Johnson, K-State, Marquise Noel, K-State, and Jalen Wilson of Kansas. On the second team, along with Timmy Allen, Grady Dick, Kansas, Keontae George, Baylor, Gabe Kalsher, Iowa State, and Mike Mills of TCU. So, a first team and a second team from the coaches, Zay, for a couple of Longhorns. Any thoughts?
Congrats to both Marcus Carr and Timmy Allen. You could tell that some old school coaches picked these teams because Sir'Jabari Rice, who I thought got hosed from second team All Big 12, even though he got Sixth Man of the Year, I think he should have been on this list as second team. But as you notice, Chad, all the guys that you just named, all of them start.
That's what I was, right.
All of them start.
You can feel it. So a guy like Jabari Rice, it's not like they're dogging Jabari Rice, but in their minds, the all first team and all second team are starters.
Right.
Consistent every night starters.
Yeah, which is a psyche that players have to get out their head and coaches have to get out their head because that doesn't mean you're better, just because you start. Dylan Mitchell has been starting every single game. Every single game this year, Dylan Mitchell has started. And I don't think he's had a starting season, if you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't mean anything. I don't like how they went about it that way. But again, Timmy Allen, what he provides to a team with his toughness, his defense, his leadership, you could go to him at certain times and he'll give you a bucket. We just know these last 3 games, the Horns offense looks so good. It makes you a little nervous how Timmy Allen's going to be inserted back into the lineup. But yeah, congrats to both guys, and I just wish that Sir'Jabari Rice got a little bit of love in there too, because again, he had a better season than Gabe Kalsher.
Well, and I can, throughout the season, when whatever it was, road game, home game, the national media coverage, they'd end up talking about Rice every game, every game. Sometimes it was about the shot fake, but sometimes it was just about him off the bench and the energy he provided and how good he was for Texas. So I think you're right. The coaches and some of the voters, whether it's media members or coaches, maybe need to expand their mindset on what that needs to be. But congratulations to Carr, congratulations to Allen. And since we're mentioning Timmy Allen, there was a CBS insider yesterday, John Rothstein, that tweeted out Timmy Allen will be available for the Longhorns first-round tournament game per a school spokesperson, and, of course, didn't play in the Big 12 tournament. So it does look like Timmy Allen will be available to Texas on Thursday evening. Zay, we kind of hit it yesterday. But as you sit here today, A, would you leave Timmy Allen on the bench to start? And B, do you think Rodney Terry will leave him on the bench to start?
I would leave him on the bench to start, yes. I do not think Coach Terry will do that.
You think he'll go back to where it was?
Right, right. I thought this past weekend, these last 3 games, Oklahoma State, TCU, and Kansas, a lot of people got to eat that we haven't seen this year, and the spacing and the offenses that they were running and how they were utilizing guys together. That's the big thing. There's just certain matchups and certain guys that don't play well together. And it's not because they're bad players. It's just because what they bring to the table, it doesn't mix on what you're trying to do offensively and sometimes defensively. And those 2 guys are Dylan Mitchell and Timmy Allen. When both of those guys are in at the same time, somebody's going to struggle. because they have a similar game, even though Timmy Allen is more polished offensively. And when I say similar, I mean they're not going to shoot threes. So as a defensive player, I know I don't have to close out when they catch the ball on the perimeter at all. Like, I'll shoot it. That's one of those, we'll live. That's when you hear that on the bench. Oh, we'll live.
It tells the defense they can sag in.
Yeah, sag and then help out on guys like Dylan Dessou. Help out on Marcus Carr. When Marcus Carr and Tyrese Hunter come off those high ball screens, you could help. And when they swing it and it goes to a Timmy Allen or Dylan Mitchell and those guys are on the perimeter, which you want spacing, so most likely they're going to be on the perimeter, you're not going to run out to contest. You're just going to let it happen. So having Sir'Jabari Rice there, instead, you could put Dylan Mitchell on that baseline and have him kind of just roam up and down the baseline based on who gets the ball and based on the dribble penetration. But Sir'Jabari Rice, as good as a three-point shooter that he is, you got to respect it. So you're going to have to close out on him instead of Timmy Allen. Where if you had Timmy Allen coming off the bench, he'll probably come in for a Dylan Mitchell, and you have Timmy Allen and what he can do offensively. Sometimes that's ISO, which once he gets the ball in ISO, there has to be movement on that other side, and he has to be quick. He has to make his moves because I know he's reading reading the defense and trying to find his looks, but a lot of the time, they just stand there when Timmy Allen has the ball. That's no good. It's different standing there when Marcus Carr and Dylan Dessou are in their two-man game. And we saw this past weekend, Arterio Morris and Sir'Jabari Rice, they were spotting up, watching the action on the other side because there's action on the other side involving two players. Like pick and roll game, a lot has to happen with those other three guys helping that aren't involved in the pick and roll defensively. A lot. Like you better be in the right spot because if Dylan Dessou or one of the bigs, if they slip it, and both of those guys stay on the Marcus Carr, whoever has the ball at the moment, then that guy on the bottom better rotate. And then the other guys better rotate with that. So with the lack of shooting that Dylan Mitchell and Timmy Allen provides, it's a lot easier to help. And they are better with Timmy Allen on the court than they are without him, or just playing in general than they are without him. And that's what makes this Horns team so scary. You have so many different lineups that you could work with based on who your opponent is. So if you're playing the team that's a little bit smaller, then I'm going to play Dylan Dessou and Christian Bishop a lot of minutes. And Timmy Allen might play a little three for me. But Timmy Allen needs to know once he catches the ball, he has to be quick with his moves, real quick. And Dylan Dessou, same thing with him. When Timmy Allen's in the game, he'll probably shoot more jumpers. Like he's done really good of catching the ball, reverse pivot, kind of, squaring his man up on a jab step and just shooting that wing jumper. He's been really good at that, especially as of late. So, Christian Bishop's been playing so well too. And Arterio Morris, I love what he's provided. So I don't know if Timmy Allen, like I mentioned the Roshan Johnson thing yesterday, I don't know if Timmy Allen's going to have that Rojo moment where he could go up to the coach and be like, hey, coach, I'm okay coming off the bench. Now, if they start him, which I think they're going to do, this is the perfect game to start him in and to get, his feet wet and to get back rolling because he's going to be a little bit rusty. He's missed a week. He's going to be a little bit rusty. And plus, he knows how good his team was without him. He knows that. He's no fool.
So you think the matchup with Colgate might be a good time if you're going to put him back in? Probably a good matchup to do.
Yeah, work out those kinks.
Right. And then maybe against A&M or Penn State, maybe you go back to
I don't think you go back.
No?
If you win the game, you keep going.
Okay.
You keep going because that's just how, you got to stay consistent that way because it's only 2 days.
True. I'm also interested to see how Coach Terry deals with all the situations. Once you get into the tournament, sometimes those timeouts need to come quicker. Sometimes you don't need to let your team play through something because then it's too late.
Right.
At the back end, everything is magnified. A 6-point lead is a bigger deal now than it is earlier in the season. So sometimes if you think, all right, I might call a timeout if we're down 10 in a tournament, to me, it maybe needs to be 6 or 8.
Right.
Don't let it get to that point. You might need to stop it early.
Yeah, good point. And you got some pressure on you, Chad. A lot of this national media is picking you to go to the Final Four. You got guys like Dick Vitale picking you to get in the championship game.
Oh, poor Dick Vitale.
This Dickie V, you know what I'm saying? So
he sat right there for both Kansas games, so he's completely brainwashed.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. He loved what he saw.
He think Texas is the best team he's ever seen.
Yeah, and what you love about those two Kansas games, Chad, you beat that Kansas team easily with Timmy Allen, and you beat them without Timmy Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the game you beat them without Timmy Allen, they didn't have Bill Self, which Hall of Fame coach,
and
that's a big deal. And Kevin McCullough.
And didn't have McCullough, yeah.
Yeah, and remember that when you're picking your bracket, folks.
Yep, that's true.
Because I've been saying it all year. I've watched so much Kansas basketball. Like, I feel like a Jayhawk fan myself, how much I've watched them just being in the Big 12. Kevin McCullough is the X factor to that team. He is so good defensively and offensively, and he takes so much pressure off of everybody because he's a vet. I want to say he was on those beer teams that were going to the Final Four. He might have been really young, like a freshman, but he was around those really good Texas Tech Coach Beer teams, and he was on that team last year that was good with Mark Adams. Like, he's seen a lot of good basketball. Now, when they put the ball in his hands more, they're just that much better. So if he's dealing with these back spasms, and you got Arkansas, Illinois, who could beat a lot of teams and have played a tough schedule this year, being in the Big Ten and SEC, you can get got.
Okay, so before we hit this break, we're going to be getting some bracket tips from Zay throughout the show. Let's go ahead and just start with Kansas, since you mentioned them. And obviously a Texas fan could have a different opinion of Kansas right now because of the way they handled them in those two games. So right now, your gut, does it tell you that Arkansas or Illinois is taking them out, or do you have Kansas going on a run?
I got Arkansas, Illinois taking them out.
You do? Okay, you have a second-round loss for Kansas.
Yes.
All right. So your tip would be don't overcook Kansas.
Right.
Don't go crazy about Kansas. They're not going that far.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, the Bill Self thing worries me because they're literally plugging his heart for the clogged arteries thing.
Yeah, put two stents in there.
So you know how emotional you have to be as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like, just the pregame speech of getting your guys hyped and mentally prepared to play. Like, for his health's sake, there's certain things that he probably can't do. Or the doctor said, you probably, if you want to coach, you might want to take it down a few notches. And Bill Self, knowing him, he probably only has one way. So that's going to be in the back of their minds. And they're not a deep team. They're not. Like, after Wilson and KJ and Grady Dick, McCullough and Harris, it's slim. Yesufu, I know he had that really good game against Texas at Allen Fieldhouse, but he's only averaging around 4 a game. Pettiford, too, they don't have a very deep bench, so they need everybody, including their Hall of Fame coach.
So just as a tip, an extra tip maybe, if you have Arkansas or Illinois beating Kansas in your bracket, then do you have that team out in the next round just to protect yourself?
Oh, that means they would play UConn.
UConn's the 4, St. Mary's is the 5? Or do you still like that team to keep going?
Man,
you like an Arkansas or Illinois to keep going?
It's tough because, man, they haven't played together very much,
all right.
Arkansas. But when they're all healthy, which they are now, they're scary.
We'll continue to break it down because I didn't even mention the 13 seed Iona. I know you have some special thoughts on 13 seeds.
Rick Pitino.
We will get to that's true. And then there's a guy who knows a little bit about basketball coaching that team. So we'll get some tips from Zay. If you have any bracket tips for us and for the people, let us know. We got a text from somebody that says, my wife won that TV last year for the best bracket. There you go. Thank you, Purple Buffalo's daddy.
Take these tips with a grain of salt because my wife won last year too. So,
and your dad reminded you of that this year.
Yeah, he did.
I love it.
Yeah, so don't put your mortgage on me.
It is that time of year. For months and months, there are people in your life that probably couldn't even tell you there are college basketball games on. But then all of a sudden we hit we hit Sunday. And then your mama, your aunt, your hairdresser, and the dude at the bar that hasn't said a word to anyone all of a sudden knows exactly how to pick a 4-13 matchup in the tournament.
That's wild.
It's bizarre how this happens. Everybody becomes an expert all of a sudden.
It's nuts. Yo, the freshmen, I know they're going to have jitters, but with what Arterio Morris showed us against Kansas, like Kansas, they haven't seen an alley-oop that nasty, Chad, since Bobby Hurley threw it to Grant Hill in 91.
Ooh, that was a good alley-oop.
That was the nastiest alley-oop maybe in college basketball history.
That's the one that made the dude on the bench freak out. Remember that face that he made?
Yeah, Bobby Hurley says, I thought I threw it out of bounds. When they asked Bobby Hurley that, he said, I thought I threw that smooth out of bounds. Grant Hill went and got it.
Yep.
And I know OG Kansas fans, when Sir'Jabari Rice threw that thing and Arterio Morris looked like he almost hit his head. He looked like, when he dunked it, he looked like he had to like duck a little bit. Like you could see his like head kind of curved to the side because he was that high. I knew they had some PTSD of that Duke game back in 91.
I thought he airmailed it. I really did.
You thought it was a bad pass?
Yeah, real time. I thought, ooh, that might be a little boo. Never mind. Never mind. I thought he just missed it.
Yo, I scared my wife. Like, she was upstairs. She was like, what happened? What happened? Like, I got so hyped. That was vicious.
That was big time.
You got to play Arterio Morris. You're going to need him. He was terrific in the Big 12 tournament.
Somebody said, here's a tip. Texas versus Shaka for the Natty.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, that's an interesting bracket. That'd be Marquette coming from the left side, Texas coming from the right. Is that what you have in your bracket? Let us know. Specs text line is 337-3776. Also up next, there's a lot of NFL stuff out there, including the Cowboys re-signing a star on defense and 3 backup quarterbacks and where they're going to be in 2023. Don't move. It's The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
I like the percussion. I don't recognize it yet, but I do like the percussion. All right. Now I kind of recognize the song.
Yeah, this is a 90s club classic.
Yeah. Is it a group?
No.
Individual? Man, I do not know. I will throw out Taylor Dane's name. I don't know. No idea.
Crystal Waters.
Crystal Waters. My bad, Crystal.
100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely recognize it. Never committed that one to memory. Crystal Waters gets us started today. We're getting great text in on the Specs text line. Read those to you in a second. 337-3776. Also, thank you to our 782 subscribers on the YouTube page. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. YouTube.com/@TheHornAustin. If you haven't checked out Rodney Terry meeting with the media after the selection show on Sunday, you got that. You got all the shows. You got little podcasts. You got some rants from us. You got all kinds of stuff on there. Different videos. The guys out at the golf courses doing the golf golf club tour, the tour of Central Texas. I'm showing 4 different videos there. If you want to check out the Mo Willie video, the Horseshoe Bay video, Lions Club, or UT Golf Club, those are all up there right now. So thanks to everybody for subscribing to that YouTube page, and thanks to all of our great texters. This text says, I have Texas winning it all capital letters. Hook 'em horns emoji.
That's what I'm talking about. No homerism at all.
Not at all. This one says, UConn is a fraud.
Yo.
You and I were talking about the UConn thing during the break. You want to throw out that little tip to the people?
Rick Pitino's coaching staff on Iona, one of their coaches who's in charge of the scouting report for the first game against UConn was a former UConn coach.
Ooh. So it's one of those, did I teach you everything I know kind of thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Keep that one in mind.
Now, the Rick Pitino thing kind of scares me because he's answering questions about St. John's and stuff, like his next, coaching spot. I don't like it. I don't like those distractions. You don't need that. And he tried to play dumb, and they were like, yeah, Pitino, how do you feel about St. John's? He was like, I haven't been to St. John's in 31 years. I couldn't even tell you where the campus is at. I would have to use Google Maps or something to get there.
Rick.
I'm like, Rick, all right, relax. You know exactly where St. John's is.
Let's calm down a little bit. Somebody else texted Texas versus Purdue in the championship game. Close game, 68-67 Purdue. Sorry, Horns fans. Well, they may have already filled out their bracket then if they've got that as the final score. And our man CB, Chris Bennett, the legend, Horn bracket filled out and submitted from all the way out there in Washington State. Best of luck, Chris Bennett. He was asking, hey, can I still win the TV even if I'm not right there? Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming. We'll figure out a way to get it to you. And someone else texts in, LOL, the Jets are turning into the Packers. Old-ass Randall Cobb.
They picked him up too?
I must have. That just came in on a text.
I saw Lazard. They picked him up, but what? Randall Cobb?
That'll help us transition into the NFL. I hadn't seen the Randall Cobb thing yet, but maybe that is going down, and there is word that Alan Lazard is kind of in the crosshairs of the Jets, which is making people think about Aaron Rodgers. Here's your Aaron Rodgers update, by the way. No one, Schefter included, will go all the way and say it's happening, but he says it's maybe on the way. And then there was a tweet. The only thing we've heard from Aaron Rodgers, what's his name? Rasul. Is it Rasul Butler? Is that it? No, it's Rasul. I think that's his name. Rasul Shepard. Rasul Douglas, I think he's the name, of the Packers. Someone tweets at him, a media member tweets at him, or tweets out like, hey, we're hearing all these guys from the Jets tweet out about wanting Aaron Rodgers. Why don't we see the Packers tweeting out about wanting him just as bad? And Rasul tweets back at him, because we have his number. We could text him if we want to.
Right.
And Rodgers responded to that, and all he put was, "Sue," with some kind of emoji. Sort of like giving his guy a little love about, oh, yeah, you got him, burn, or whatever.
Right.
But that was it. So that's all we've heard from Aaron Rodgers. But the thought is that he's still headed for New York, and these two guys that were with him previously, maybe being with the Jets, could be an indicator there. But I had not seen the Randall Cobb story, so thank you to a texter there.
I mean, if I'm a millionaire like Aaron Rodgers is, and I date millionaire women like Aaron Rodgers does, and like celebrity women that are in the limelight, obviously New York makes sense. But from a football standpoint, it doesn't. It just doesn't. The AFC is ridiculous right now. And going to a conference, hell, going to a division where I don't know how many times we've said it, Chad. You might not be the best quarterback in that division and you're Aaron Rodgers. Like, I take Josh Allen over Rodgers. Age is the biggest thing with that. But at this point, they're right there. I know Josh Allen had a bad year. Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time MVP, but Aaron Rodgers ain't have the best year. And they're running the football a lot more this past season with Dillon and Jones. So him going to the Jets and having to deal with that and then face Belichick, knowing Belichick is going to scheme the hell out of you for 2 games, because that's what he does. Whatever Mac Jones does in his 3rd year, we'll see. But Belichick, he going to be prepared for you on a defensive end.
Yeah,
you might win, but he going to be prepared. And you got to face the Dolphins, who just picked up Jalen Ramsey. So you're looking at receivers. Love Garrett Wilson. Y'all know that. But Jalen Ramsey, Garrett Wilson, that's a tough matchup for the second-year player coming in 2023. So you're dealing with all those things if you move on to the Jets. While you stay in Green Bay, you just got to deal with Kirk Cousins. Play with Kirk Cousins, you Aaron Rodgers. Jared Goff, play with Jared Goff, you Aaron Rodgers. Justin Fields, come on. So we know the Vikings had a really good season this past year, but in a way, a lot of people say they're fraud. And then the Lions, they were right there, which they caused the Green Bay Packers not to make the playoffs with that last game of the season. So they're on the up and up for Dan Campbell's crew. But as a football player, this doesn't make sense for Aaron Rodgers. For just Aaron Rodgers, the human being, this makes all the sense in the world.
A lot of text coming in. This says Randall Cobb helps Aaron's feng shui in the room. That's why you'd want Randall Cobb. And again, the reports are now that the Jets may be looking at Lazard and Randall Cobb. I have not seen this one confirmed, though. Someone texted breaking news: Jordy Nelson out of retirement, signing with the Jets. That's well done. That is well done.
Yo, I know Donald Driver and Greg Jennings got some years left, too.
Oh, my God. Somebody says, and possibly Mercedes Lewis. I don't know if that's true, too, but maybe they're just going to bring everybody in. That's funny. Maybe he just likes wearing green, or maybe he's just dumb. Also, Garrett Wilson had to do a little bit of apologizing. He got really excited when he thought someone had tweeted out that it was done. And then he tweets out this excitement tweet and then realizes, oh, wait, it wasn't official. And then he had to come back and say he was sorry.
Sorry to who?
So he's like, oh, no, sorry, I got a little excited. Just got a little excited.
You ain't got to apologize, Gary. Go enjoy your vacation, dog.
Dude, they got to be careful with Aaron Rodgers. There's this weird instability about him. You just got to make sure you get him first.
Yo, Garrett Wilson's probably thinking, if I go over 1,000 with Flacco, Mike White, Zach Wilson, think about what Aaron Rodgers will do with me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Hell yeah, I get that excited. Garrett, don't apologize to nobody. You have every right to be excited. Now, maybe you should do some more research before you go and tweet and stuff and, talk to the front office people, which you got their number, they got yours. I'm pretty sure they would let him know before it gets out, like, hey, it's happening.
You would think so, but apparently it wasn't like Schefter, but it was a national dude that tweeted it out, and Wilson just kind of misinterpreted, I guess, what he had thrown out there. So keep your eyes on that story. Also, if you're a Cowboys fan, Zay, you were talking about this guy the other day. Cowboys have re-signed Donovan Wilson.
Yes, sir.
3-year deal, I believe is what I read. Yeah, 3 years, $24 million. So Donovan Wilson back with the Cowboys. We also now know Connor McGovern is officially gone, and apparently he's come to an agreement with the Bills. So McGovern leaves the offensive line, but Donovan Wilson coming back is a big deal. I forgot he was a 6th-round pick. Man, you talk about making the most of your opportunity. Donovan Wilson's become a very important part of that defense, and the Cowboys rewarded him for it.
Absolutely. Jerry's loyal, and the guy, he just brings a different type of physicality to Dan Quinn's defense, a little bit of old school, safety feel. And yeah, I definitely think he deserves it. I love the way he plays. I'm glad they kept him. I thought, again, he's just a big part of that defense to go along with Parsons and Diggs and Lawrence. So yeah, this is a good move. And you want to keep that defense. I feel like they're going to take a little bit of a step back just because it's natural, but you want to keep that defense with as many sound players as possible, and Wilson's one of them.
Yeah, they may lose Van Der Esch, depending on what
that's fine.
That may be about to happen.
He had a good season, but he's just too injury prone to give him a deal to keep him for a little bit longer.
Yeah, Donovan Wilson, one of 2 Cowboy defenders that had a stat in every single stat they keep on defense. At least one. In every single one. Yep. I'm assuming the other guy's Parsons. I didn't see the other name, but Wilson's one of the 2.
He had some hits this year where you're like, yo, don't get up.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would get up from these type of hits that he be playing on guys. I love the way he plays because we're in an era where you can't hit nobody.
Right.
You can't touch nobody.
I can tell you for sure, all the way back to his days at A&M, there'd been a question from here and there about the coverage stuff, and that needed to develop. Donovan's been thumping since day one.
Yeah.
That dude can hit, and he was hitting early in the college career as well.
Is that why he got drafted so late when he was at A&M, just coverage and not being at the right assignment?
His last year at A&M, he got burned. There was some things on film that he got burned in coverage. Yeah, that was it. That's what caused him to slip. But now he's worked on those things, and he's a big part of that defense. So good for him on a new deal.
So many guys that just have the talent, sometimes they're not in the playbook like they should. Or when you come in from high school and everything just comes easy because you're a superior athlete, and then you get to college and, sometimes you get exposed and everybody has, everybody learns differently. And some guys pick up things faster than others. And, I think now in the NFL, with somebody like Dan Quinn putting him in the right spots, I think he's thrived.
Yeah, no doubt.
6th round.
I know.
What a steal.
No, it's an amazing story for him. So he gets re-upped on that deal. You mentioned Mike White a second ago. Let's go over some backup quarterbacks real quick before the break. Mike White's going to be in Miami, correct?
Yes.
Backing up Tua.
You keep reading them off.
He may get up. We're getting to your guy.
Keep reading them off, baby.
He'll get an opportunity there because of Tua coming back from the injury probably. We'll see how that works. Now to your guy. Taylor Heineke has found a new home. He's going to Atlanta.
Desmond Ridder, your spot's taken.
He'll be
already. Week 5, maybe week 6. You have 6 weeks, Desmond Ridder, to do something. Because that dude breathing down your neck that just got paid $20 million to be a backup, he got some moxie.
Taylor Heineke with Washington, 12-11-1 when he played, 3-8 when he didn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
3-8.
That's what he's a winner, Chad.
Again, slightly a win. 12-11-1. That's not fantastic, but they were 3-8 when he didn't play.
Man, it's the Commanders.
I know it is. You're right.
You saw what they were ranked on our little the player rankings that we read out. Worst in the league.
So
Snyder's a joke.
Heineke in Atlanta, and he'll get a shot. How about Sam Darnold in San Francisco? 1-year deal. Purdy and Lance both coming off injuries. Sam Darnold is going to get a chance to prove maybe he can be a quarterback in this league again.
That's interesting.
1-year deal. 1 year with Shanahan. At the minimum, 1 year learning from Shanahan.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on Sam Darnold.
I like that.
And my guy, Jameis Winston, did decide to take the Saints up on their offer. They reworked a deal. He's still coming off that ACL, obviously, but he will be back in New Orleans, theoretically backing up Derek Carr, although I don't know that they've officially let go of Andy Dalton yet. But I think the idea is that he will back up Carr in New Orleans. Jameis is staying in the Big Easy.
Yo, if you could swallow your pride, being a backup quarterback is one of the greatest jobs in the world, in the NFL especially. And Jameis Winston, we know he likes his crab legs. Come on, how can you beat the crab legs in New Orleans?
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you like food.
If you like food.
If you're into seafood.
Yeah. No, and he's going to pack up a little weight, too, because I ain't going to be worried about that too much. He ain't starting.
Yeah. Well, and Jameis Winston, in terms of packing on a little weight, that's not going to hurt Jameis.
Yeah, he's always had a dad bod,
That's a big frame dude anyway.
Yeah.
Right? He's had the Ben Roethlisberger body for a while. He's all right.
You would think if Jameis Winston just had maybe better workout plan or did better drills when he worked out, he'd be a better QB. With all the intangibles, being the number one pick, former Heisman Trophy winner, you saw it all for the time that, you know, he was in Tampa Bay. He still threw 30 touchdowns, even though he had the 30 interceptions.
30 and 30.
Yeah, 30 and 30. But you see the flashes, and then you go and see those ridiculous drills that he be doing on social media and stuff, and you're like, I haven't seen any elite quarterback do what Jameis is doing.
Yeah.
Ever.
I was excited when I first saw that he was doing that stuff, and then I had the thought you had, which was, now is he just going too far? Is he trying too hard? Is he doing stuff that's not going to matter? Because, like, standing on the yoga ball with the cards flying in the air, like, it's impressive in a way, but then I think, is that really what? Is that how you do
is that going to be applied to the game when you're getting chased by Aaron Donald?
Is that how it's done? I don't know. Jameis will stay in New Orleans. A lot of NFL on the board, and tomorrow is when the official NFL season starts, and a lot of these things that have been agreed to can become official. But there's a lot of stories flying out there. Speaking of stories, up next in the crap bag, we'll get you updated on the Ja Morant story and the Michael Irvin getting kicked out of the Super Bowl coverage story. That's got an update too, and a new video. We'll tell you about it on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, we have the guitar fired up. Sounds like something I'd be into. It's a long lead in. It's one of Zay's favorites.
Hey, it's only 3:30, so there has to be.
We got to get to it.
There
at
has
some
to be
point.
a voice
All right,
sooner
here we
or
go.
later.
Here we go. Come on. Drums are there. Guitar's there. Oh, right. Yeah. I want you to rock me, roll me, a little bit out of control me. Lita Ford.
Was she in the group?
Ah, dang.
Was that a group?
Or is it Vixen?
Vixen. There we go.
There it is. Sorry, my bad.
I'll allow that. That's like you getting an offensive rebound and putting it back.
No, it wasn't. And Lita wasn't in that band, but it did kind of sound like Lita at first, but not. Yeah, okay. There
By the
it
way,
is.
Chad, you followed your miss.
I did.
Shot the 3, followed your miss, and I'm getting a layup. We'll take it. We'll take it.
The blonde and Vixen is who I could not identify. Vixen was something back in the day.
Were they hot?
Vixen and Crystal Waters, they were, yeah. Attractive, big hair, but they could play. They absolutely could play. They had a big hit with that Edge of a Broken Heart that Richard Marx wrote, but this was a little bit more on
they're super
the rockin'
hot.
side.
What?
Dude, they were awesome.
They're
they were
bad as hell.
They were awesome. I was in love with her and then the drummer, the brunette on drums. Oh, Roxy Petrucci.
Yeah.
Woo! Good stuff.
But they had to be competing with like Hart and Blondie, even though it's different.
Yeah, it was a little different by that time. They somebody ought to do like a good documentary on them because that's had to be a tough world, boy. That's an all-girl band in that world. You're going up, L.A. Sunset Strip, and you're in the same era as, Motley Crue and all that kind of stuff. It's had to be interesting. All right, so shout out to Vixen, and just a side shout out to Lita Ford because she's fantastic too. Vixen and Crystal Waters getting us started today. I'm assuming the Vixen band members would be complimented that I thought she was Lita Ford. All right. Lots of stuff going on today. Bracket-wise, we're getting bracket tips from Zay. More of that coming up at 1. Tomorrow, in fact, speaking of brackets, tomorrow at 12:30, we'll get our national guy back on, Scott Spinelli, former coach at BC. He's coached in the NBA, and as I'm reading today, has recruited such players as Chris Middleton, and he reminded us last week he did spend time at A&M.
Nice.
So it was part of...
He got Chris Middleton out of South Carolina to come to Texas. Wow.
How about that? Yeah. So we can ask him about a lot of different things, get his thoughts on the bracket tomorrow. That's at 12:30 tomorrow, and then we'll try to line up our normal guests, Justin Wells of Inside Texas at 1:05 and Chip Brown of Horns247.com at 2:05. I'm assuming Chip will be in Des Moines covering the Longhorn basketball team, but we will see.
Where is Des Moines?
Des Moines, Iowa.
No, I know that, but like
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at a map to see exactly.
Okay, because when we had Jeff Howe on, he said he was on the Sunday show with E and Pat and I. He said that he was flying into Chi-Town. So,
I see.
And then driving.
And going to Des
so
Moines.
it must be on that
Yeah, actually, I think
border, I guess.
Maybe I just answered the question. Jeff Howe may be, and we'll see how many people Horns247.com sends. I know Jeff is going, so maybe he's the guy that'll be covering it for them. But we'll do that tomorrow as well. Let's get into the crap bag here. Update Ja Morant and Michael Irvin. Here we go.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. I felt like I was meeting a star today, and Tom would say I was. Tom McKay of Audiovisual Consultations was in the studio. He's not the star. I met Camilla. I met the daughter.
Oh.
I'd never met her before.
Yeah, it's spring break.
Felt like I know her because of these spots, and he's been talking about her for so long and how successful she's been. I got to watch them talk about hockey and how she lives up in Boston and has become a Bruins fan, and it drives Tom crazy.
What?
It drives him nuts. I love it. I loved watching it. It was fun. That was really cool to meet her. So shout out to Tom and Camilla, and listen for that new spot from Audio Visual Consultations. All right, Zay, let's update Ja Morant. We were talking about him yesterday. The strip club video that got out, or I guess it's video or maybe just a picture. The picture of that scene that got out. It is official now. He's entered a counseling program in Florida Again, he's talked about his quote, dealing with stress and my overall well-being. He is communicating with team members. He's in group text, apparently. I don't know if he's in like prep meetings for games or anything, but he is communicating with guys. So I think we're now to we really truly don't know, even if he's coming back. I think we need to stop talking about when he comes back to a basketball team because I don't know.
Yeah, now I've seen multiple reports saying they'd be surprised if he even came back this season.
Yeah.
I think that includes the playoffs, which seems insane. I mean, we've been talking about it, seems like all year with this Grizzlies team that's sitting at the number 2 spot. They're good. They're really good. And Ja Morant, he's an all-NBA player. So without him, that's a first-round exit. With how good the West is this year, that's a first-round exit. And they might not have Steven Adams. They don't have Brandon Clark. He tore his ACL or Achilles, one of the two. So he's out for the rest of the year. And him and Ja had really good chemistry on the pick and roll. But, yeah, I didn't think it was that bad. But then you see the picture with all that money, Chad, just scattered around. I know there's probably some ones there, but still. Yeah. And you just hear all the other stories about him beating up a 17-year-old and people in his posse flashing their guns and pointing them at folks and stuff. Like, it's one of the weirdest stories we've ever seen in sports. I know we've heard stuff about like guys like Vince Young spending a lot of money at Cheesecake Factories and Allen Iverson spending a lot of money at the strip
those
club
stories have been out forever.
And we're about to get to Michael Irvin. He has his own stories when he was playing his Cowboys days. But yeah, it's just Ja Morant, what do you have to prove? If I'm at this facility and I'm talking to him, it's like, dude, you're in the NBA. You're able to take care of your family, and you have a little child. You have a girl, a little daughter. She might not be older than 3. Like, think about her. Yeah. But then when you have a dad like the T. Morant and how he carries himself, he's part of the problem.
Yeah, and we just don't. I mean, again, it's kind of a perspective thing of we don't know. It's the thing that hopefully people are learning through the years, that just because you make the money and you're successful, that doesn't mean that doesn't exempt you from the mental health side of it. And if he's really dealing with something, maybe it's good that he's getting some help now. Maybe it's good that he's getting this counseling. We've had stories from everything from DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love in the NBA to Michael Phelps to Naomi Osaka. Didn't Simone Biles? Was it Simone Biles? Who was it? Wasn't there a gymnast? Maybe it's not Simone.
It was Simone.
Was it Simone?
She didn't.
That's right.
Yeah, she wasn't involved in one of the.
Wasn't able to go through some stuff. Yeah,
one of them gym meets.
Just a lot of that stuff out there. Let's hope he can, find what he needs to find. Because the other thing that keeps haunting me about that picture we talked about yesterday, it's not the money on the floor. It's not the fact that he's getting a lap dance. There's nobody else in the picture, if you think about it. There's no other it wasn't a team function. It wasn't a team, let's go out and party. It felt lonely in one way if you look at it. And it's like, okay, wait, where was his mindset at that moment? All the money's there, all over this room, and there's a stripper, giving him a lap dance.
You don't think it was just like a private dance moment that was just captured in a big room?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, right. It could have been that.
You got that much pull, like, when you watch mob movies and, the maid dies, goes, all right, everybody get out.
Yeah.
And everybody just leaves. Like, he's that guy. He's bringing the money in, especially around his friends and stuff. He could say, you know what, guys, instead of me going to the private room, y'all get out.
Y'all leave.
Leave,
you're right. You're right.
I got this shrimp in front of me. I can eat on that.
That's true.
Girl, she doing her thing. We got all this money around. Like, I'm comfortable.
Making his own champagne room. I got you.
Yeah.
I hope so. Like, I hope that's what it was. Let's hope he can find kind of a good place. And then does he get back on the court soon, later, next year? That's where the Ja Morant thing is. He's entered counseling in Florida. And the update on the Michael Irvin story, I'm fascinated by this one because I am a Cowboys fan. Michael's one of my guys. And I know people like to bag on Michael Irvin. It's an easy thing to do sometimes. But because he's so loud and boisterous, and people just, for some reason, like to dog on
Yeah,
Mike.
he a Florida boy.
But now he's dismissed his lawsuit against Marriott and then refiled it against another person because they've realized that Marriott technically doesn't own the facility, which is weird to say. It's a Marriott, but there's someone else that specifically owns it, so he's going to refile the lawsuit. And they played the video today at a press conference. I did not watch every second of it, but what I did watch, I think Michael Irvin would be happy to hear my reaction. I was bored watching it. I was bored. I was watching, that was a shot from way away. I didn't get any zoom ins or anything. And it was a hotel bar, not a lot of people walking around, but there were people kind of walking around the edges of this bar. And I think I'm watching Michael Irvin, and there's a woman that, a Marriott employee, and it's like 6 minutes, Zay, of them talking. I never saw anything that looked uncomfortable. I never saw anything that looked weird, strange, a slap, a hit, a push away, a storm off, any of that stuff. And at the end of the video, you can see Michael Irvin shake her hand, and then they separate. And then an employee of the NFL watched that video and decided that things needed to escalate. Michael Irvin was kicked off NFL Network. Eventually, he was kicked off ESPN, and I am thoroughly confused as to why.
Yeah, and in sports, when you see a player, maybe in basketball get called for, like a Brock Cunningham, maybe get called for a certain foul that it doesn't look dirty, but it sometimes could come off as dirty due to the reputation. I think that's the situation you have here with the playmaker. Like, I think he's done such a good job of building back his reputation, because we know in Dallas he was wilding.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
We know the hotel room incident where they found all of that Lindsay Lohan in there, if y'all know what I'm talking about, sniff.
Oh, yeah.
And just different things. And now the fact that he's been able to be an analyst and be on NFL Network and ESPN, I know that means a lot to him, because he could have went down a very dark path after he retired. And instead, he stayed around the game and, again, built his reputation up. So to have this happen, like, I've seen video of him, like, crying about this situation, because he knows, like, he's done so much to have something happen like this, to be so negative. That hurts. And yeah, I'm with you. I saw the video. Didn't look like nothing happened.
Yeah, it's really confusing. And there were a couple guys that were sitting nearby, kind of sitting in the bar area. They have testified that it seemed like a normal interaction to them. In this video, I think I can figure out who those two guys are that are sitting kind of fairly close. You just be sitting there having a meal, and oh, look, it's Michael Irvin. But
yeah, and you're gonna keep your eyes on him because
he's Michael Irvin. Oh my God! If I saw Michael Irvin in a hotel bar, it would be everything I could do not to go up and talk to him. I would try to stay cool, but I would be looking over every
time,
half a beat. I'd be looking over at what was going on. So I would be a witness to that. Whatever happened, good or bad, I'd be able to tell you.
So what was he charged with?
Because I'd be looking. That's the thing. I don't know if he was. I'm not sure if he's actually been charged.
He's just been accused of something. NFL Network or the NFL person went out and said he's wrong,
and they
kick him off.
Right, and they pulled him off NFL Network's coverage, and they sent him. I think they kicked him out of the hotel, kicked him off NFL Network's coverage, and then ESPN ultimately kicked him off of their stuff too, because he does First Take and all the stuff with Stephen A.
Yeah.
So
during the Super Bowl weekend, when he probably gonna make some serious money.
Absolutely, yes. During that Super Bowl lead-in, Super Bowl week, and all that. So that story continues to develop as well, and we'll see what happens now after that video is shown. Maybe there's another video. Maybe there's other parts of the video. There's no sound. Apparently there's no sound. There's no zooming in or anything on the video. So you can check that out at your leisure today if you're a Michael Irvin fan or if you're somebody that's interested in that story and see where it goes. Coming up, your 1 o'clock hour, we'll start with some bracket tips from Zay. The 512 thing everybody always talks about. What about the 413? Does Zay like any of those? More bracket tips coming up. Remember to go to hornfm.com and get into our bracket contest. More details coming on the Horn. All right, how about hour number 2 on a Tuesday? Sorry, we're jumping in a little late here in hour number 2. We're talking about that Michael Irvin story and update. I can't find any actual charges. I think they're accusations against Michael Irvin, and the hotel and Michael Irvin's side, they are going back and forth about what they believe happened. And a couple days ago, there was a sequence of events that the hotel side came out. It's just, in terms, it doesn't, to me, match up with some of what you see in the video, but we'll continue to see how that story plays out. Michael Irvin and some of the things in the past are, I think, kind of affecting the way people are thinking of this story, but we'll see if ultimately Michael Irvin gets the justice he wants, or does this woman believe she deserves justice on her side of it? And we'll see where that happens. I don't believe there are any formal charges that have been filed, though. We are also getting a lot of good text in on the Specs text line, 337-3776. Our man Chris Bennett reminding us it was Trey Wingo that tweeted out the Rodgers thing yesterday. That's what I was thinking of.
Wingo.
Trey Wingo.
Okay, that is a big-time name.
He tweeted something off of another reporter's work, I believe, and that's what Garrett Wilson saw. So it wasn't like Garrett Wilson was seeing this from a random person. He thought it was legit. As of right now, it is not technically the case. So we talked about all those stories, a lot of NFL stuff going on. Aaron Rodgers not officially to New York yet, but it feels like it might be headed that way, and maybe the Jets are looking at some of those receivers that he's been with in Green Bay. Cowboys did re-sign Donovan Wilson. I'm Chad Hastings, Isaiah Collier alongside. Everybody excited about the brackets. And again, you can go to hornfm.com, get in on our bracket contest. An AV Consultations TV is your prize once again. So get all that signed up for. Plus, you'll have the bragging rights if you pick better than me or Zay or Aaron Hogan or whoever it is on our staff, which usually you will. I don't remember anybody on the Horn staff actually doing super well on this, since maybe Kevin Dunn. Kevin Dunn was usually pretty good at a bracket.
Right.
One year I remember him getting 3 of the 4 Final Four teams right.
Nice.
On a bracket.
Yeah.
So, but since then, I don't recall anybody ever really getting close. But who knows? Maybe it happens this year. So check that out. We've been talking about some of Zay's bracket tips today. He does not like Kansas to go very far in this bracket. So you got them going out in the second round.
Maybe. I might change my mind tomorrow.
Might? Okay.
They come out and say Kevin McCullough looks good. Bill Self's fine.
Uh-huh.
Who knows?
Then we might check in on that.
But out of the 8 1 and 2 seeds, from Houston to the Horns, UCLA, Kansas, Purdue, Marquette, Arizona, Bama, one of those teams ain't going to make it to the Sweet 16. I'm trying to figure out which one it's going to be. That's the hardest part. One of the hardest things about this tournament, because you just go off statistics and what's happened in previous tournaments. But
you're saying one of those 8.
One of those 8
won't win 2 games.
Right.
Okay. All right.
It's hard to get all 8 1 and 2 seeds into the Sweet 16s, but I don't know who that'll be, though. I don't think it'll be the Horns. I think the Horns will advance to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
You just never know.
So that was the other question, I guess, that I had for you at some point. Right now, you've got Texas at least to the Sweet 16?
Yes.
Any further?
Yeah. Okay. Right now, it's looking like a Final Four team for me, Texas.
All right.
Xavier's tough. Yeah, that seems like it would be a Sweet 16 matchup. Indiana scares me a little bit. They do. With Jordan Davis and Hood Schifino, they could go. When they're clicking, they look as good as anybody. And when you beat Purdue twice, you're a really good team. But they've also had some bad games, like getting blown out by Iowa by almost 30 at Indiana. Mike Woodson, good coach. We know what he's done in the NBA. So they scare me a little bit. But Houston, it really just depends on how Marcus Sasser's groin is.
Yeah.
Because that team that we saw against Memphis, they could lose in the second round.
Yeah, that's a different group. You're absolutely right. Yeah, interesting that Big Ten flavor in the Midwest region where Iowa, Penn State, and Indiana all in that same region.
Don't sleep on Iowa, man. They got the twin brother Murray over there. He could hoop. His twin that got Big Ten Player of the Year last year was a first-round pick for the Sacramento Kings, and it seems like the other Murray that's currently on Iowa, he's starting to find that rhythm where now NBA scouts are like, oh, okay, twin brother's nice too. So they got a main guy also for the Hawkeyes.
So one of the things that's happened during my lifetime, certainly, and in your lifetime as a basketball fan too, Zay, they say every year you need to pick a 12 over a 5. It's gotten that regular. Like every once in a while you'll have a year where all 4 will hit, all 4 5s will hit. So of the 12 5s, that would be Drake over Miami, VCU over St. Mary's, Oral Roberts over Duke, or Charleston over San Diego State. Do you have a feel for which 12 you will pick?
I would say VCU over St. Mary's.
Okay.
Yeah, I think St. Mary's, VCU is really athletic. They kind of got guys that Shaka Smart had when he was at VCU. And we know St. Mary's, they're a good team. They've beaten Gonzaga this year. They were tied in that conference with Gonzaga for first place. But, man, it just seems like the athleticism that VCU puts to the table, their net rankings 53, but you look at somebody like St. Mary's, they've had one of the toughest schedules in the nation, even though they play in that weak-ass conference over there.
The WCC?
Yeah, the WCC.
Same with Gonzaga, right?
Yeah, they're like 12th in strength schedule, so they've been battle-tested. It's just, you've got to pick one. And that seems like the best one, in my opinion. If I weren't to pick that one, I would go with where was it?
Drake Miami,
yes.
In the Midwest.
Yeah, because remember we talked to Coach last week, who we're going to have on tomorrow, and he said Drake was that sleeper team that
true.
could make a run.
That'd be his 12 over 5, I'm sure.
So we'll ask him tomorrow how he still feels about Drake. Now with this Miami matchup, Miami, they got some guys, that Kansas State transfer, and then Wong, he was really good this season, and they went pretty far last year, but that Miami team last year is better than this current team.
So let's go up 1 seed number here. What about 13 seeds? Any thoughts for the people on 13 seeds? Is there a reason to pick one?
Yeah, there's always a reason to pick one. The Iona UConn. That's my main one.
Okay.
And for what I just told y'all earlier today, having a coach on that coaching staff for Coach Pitino that was in UConn and knows those players, that's an advantage. And UConn, they've been playing well as of late, but I saw somebody on the Specs text line say they're a fraud. I want to take it that far, but if I had to pick a 4-13, that's the one I would pick. The other one that I'm looking at too, Tennessee, Louisiana.
I was just about to ask.
No Zakai Ziegler. Like, come on. He's the heart and soul of that team. They still got some guys, Santiago Vescovi, and they got Jordan James, the lefty, and they got a couple of bigs, but man, Zakai Ziegler, just his intensity, his ball handling, his defense, even though he's 5'something, he's one of the best defenders in the nation. We saw what he did against Tyrese Hunter when the Horns went up to Knoxville. So, yeah, I could see Louisiana getting them for sure.
You may not have seen it because you were doing our selection show here in the studio, but Seth Davis picked that at the selection show. As soon as it got made, he called Louisiana winning that game.
Yeah.
Without Ziegler, Tennessee without Ziegler, he, like the Louisiana team and the big guy that they have, he said he picked that pretty quick. That would be a 13 over a 4. The others, Furman playing Virginia, would be a 13 over a 4. We've seen Virginia go out really, really early, obviously. Yeah. They're the only one ever to lose to a 16. And then you got Indiana taking on Kent State. Virginia, to me, is always a team, if you're looking for a weird upset to pick, because they can always play so ugly. At any given moment.
They've always played at a slow pace for Tony Bennett's squad.
The way Bennett wants to play it, like I guarantee in every dream he ever has of basketball, nobody scores 60. Every dream he has.
What's crazy,
they all in 58, 56, I bet.
I think they were ranked as high as 2 at one point this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But like Creighton was also top 10 too. So you can say that about a lot of these teams. Arkansas, they were top 10 at one point. A lot of these teams didn't have the type of year that national media thought they were going to have due to injuries and et cetera. But now it's March. It's about getting hot quick, and every matchup's different.
All right, before we hit the break, another quick tip. Any other quick tip you got for the people right now? We're talking about some high seeds, any team you like, anything you've dug up.
when you're picking your champion, always look for teams that are in the top 30 in offense and defense efficiency. There's 8 teams that aren't, or that are, I mean. Kansas, which we know the injury problems they have. UCLA, who also has injury problems themselves with Clark and that Achilles injury. Creighton, Alabama, Houston, Purdue, UConn, and Texas, baby.
Oh,
yes, sir.
There it is.
Yes, sir. So one of those 8 teams have a really, really good chance. I'm not saying that one of the 8 will win it, but those types of teams that are good on the offensive end and defensive end, according to Ken Palm, offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency, top 30, you always like those teams to hoist up the natty. So the 8 I just mentioned, I'm just going to give it to you once. You're going to have to go back and listen to the podcast. You know,
that's clever.
You like that? Yeah.
I like that.
They're going to give it to you once. Maybe tomorrow, depending on how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling generous for you folks.
Yeah, that's what we'll do tomorrow. You can give those 8 again, and I'll give the quick 8 that I mentioned last week from the weird little computation that was done before the conference tournaments were finished, where they said there are 8 teams, and they've gotten it right 7 years in a row.
That's crazy.
That one of their 8 teams ends up winning it all, and we'll see there. Because I think, we're on a run right now. I think it's either top 30 or top 35 in offensive and defensive efficiency. We're on a run of 20, 25 years, something like that, where the champ is in both categories every year.
Yeah.
Their top 30, I think you're right, top 30 in offensive and defensive efficiency wins the title last 20, 25 years in a row.
As a Texas fan, that makes me so happy.
That's
because
big, yeah.
all 3 of those teams in that 8 is dealing with injury issues. Houston, Marcus Sasser, UCLA, Clark, and then Kansas with Kevin McCullough. They're all question marks. Like winning 6 games, winning 6 tough games where everybody's fighting for their lives. It makes those other 5 teams, you like that. You like that. Even Creighton.
Good stuff. Bracket tips from Zay throughout the show today. Also up next, we'll get you a little Flex 30 segment. More accolades for local stars. Plus, we'll tell you where you can hear a couple of our conversations about the best basketball players in the area. A lot going on this Tuesday. Happy Pi Day if you are a nerd. Happy some other day if you follow holidays that fall a month after a certain red and pink holiday. You know what I'm talking about. This is The Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk Apple leasing. I do love my car from Apple Leasing. Coming up on a year now, the first year of the lease, and it's such an easy process. You call 346-9977. You talk to one of their great folks. I talk to Beth. I always mention her from time to time with Apple Leasing. I got to check in with Beth, see how everything is going there. That was what was cool about the process. She checked in with me as it was going along. Hey, just want to make sure everything is good, make sure it's all going well. The communication is great. They answer all your questions. You're going to sign all the documents electronically, so you don't have to worry about all that mess of signing documents and being at the dealership for hours and hours. 346-9977, or you hit them up online at appleleasing.com. They can get you all of the sales, the rebates, the discounts, the incentives that the dealers do, and they pass those savings on to you. They keep all the dealer hassles for themselves. It's the easiest and safest way to get a new car. Check them out, 346-9977, or go to appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
It's a pretty good attempt right there. It's a good attempt to throw a pop song around that voice. I think that's still her, though. Aretha Franklin?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, somebody else, too.
Yeah, who's this?
Oh, that's George Michael.
There we go.
Yeah. What's the song called?
I Knew You Were Waiting.
Oh, yeah. Knew you were waiting. Knew you were waiting. Oh, yeah. Dude, you want to talk about some demands in studio. What did these two need? I mean, think about it. Those two walking in, whew, that must have been something. Big power voices, though. That's good stuff. I can see this video now. Yeah, good stuff. And
It's a jam.
That was George in his prime, too, man. That's George in his 80s prime. That's Aretha Franklin still putting out hits in the 80s. Good for them. Aretha Franklin and George Michael. With a great track there. Vixen and Crystal Waters have also been a part of the show today. Thanks to Zay for all the great music. We will take a break from the music, the album swap conversation for maybe a couple weeks as the tournament rolls on. We're going to get Brandon Lang on Thursday at 2 in that slot where we've normally been talking about the album swap, but the tournament game's going to be going on Thursday, so we don't want to be distracting from that. But you know we're always thinking music around here as well. We hope you are doing well on a Tuesday. We hope some of Zay's bracket tips are helping you out today, trying to figure out which 12 over a 5 you like. Do you like a 13 over a 4? And how far do you have Texas going? One of our texters says, I have Alabama versus Marquette and Texas versus Gonzaga. Horns play Bama in the championship, and the Horns win it all, baby.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's on the Specs text line, 337-3776.
Yo, Gonzaga at 3? I feel like Mark Few likes that a little bit.
Gets to hide a little?
Yeah, because usually they're a 1 seed, they're a 2 seed because they're in the whack-ass WCC, and they just run through that and win 30-something games and maybe lose 2, and those 2 come before conference play starts to like a Kansas or a Duke. But the fact that they tied with St. Mary's is good in that conference, and they've had a good year. Just people aren't picking them like they have in the past when they had, Jalen Suggs and Drew Timme, that team that went and played Baylor and lost in the Natty.
And they still have Timme.
They still got him.
Right, still got him, yeah. He's ninth year at Gonzaga.
Oh, man, him and Brock Cunningham, they're really using these years, man.
28-5, I think is the record I'm seeing here for Gonzaga. Pretty impressive there as a 3 seed. And they're going Denver and then Vegas if they get out. So
that's nice. That's nice from them.
Their fans can reach them in those 2 spots. More bracket talk coming up. Right now, let's get you a little bit of a Flex 30 segment. We'll talk some high school stuff.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
All right, no Wednesday Night Flex show this week because of Texas baseball, but a couple weeks ago, Alex Green, the talented wide receiver from Hutto, was on with the guys, and you can go to Flex ATX right now. I'm looking at the Twitter account at FLXATX on all your social media. Alex posted a race, track and field race. Looks like the 100 meters, and it says separate from the pack. And at the beginning of that race, Zay, you can't really tell who Alex Green is, but by the end of it, you know exactly who he is. Because he ends up burning everybody.
Man. Yeah, you showed me that video earlier. He has some serious blazers.
That was good stuff. So congrats to him on that, and you can go check that out, Flex ATX. We got local soccer teams giving you their schedules and updates. We got people posting videos of weightlifting and all kinds of cool stuff. Also, congrats to Marcus Boswell, the star out of Lake Travis, one of the guys we'll be talking about in the 2024 class. He won the linebacker MVP at the Under Armour Next football camp. So congrats to Marcus Boswell. And the picture that Flex retweeted is pretty imposing. He's impressive.
Yeah, yoked up.
That dude is ready to go. I also love that he's still listed on Twitter as 6'2", 200-pound running back / linebacker.
Yeah, they ain't no 200. I saw that picture. He ain't no 200.
Whatever you need, running back, linebacker, and I think you're right on that too. Also, congrats.
That ain't baby fat either.
No,
That's muscle.
That dude is in serious shape. Also, congrats to the talented Westlake offensive lineman Tyler Knapp. Tyler has been invited to the ESPN Under Armour Camp Series in Houston coming up later this month. And I noticed one of the people he tagged in this tweet, Zay, is Tom Luganbill. So he's name dropping. That's fantastic.
Real.
Name dropping some ESPN folk. That is very cool to see. And also, in terms of a shout out, this is a name I had not committed to memory yet, but a lot of people know that Jamal Fenner moves on to UT to help out with a lot of the high school stuff. So Joe Rawls is the new coach at LBJ, and he tweeted out something in the last day about stats from last season. 5A teams that allowed the fewest amount of points per game in 2022. LBJ was 5th in the state in that category.
Yeah.
Giving up 11.3 per game. And if you remember that schedule of theirs, man, it enabled them to get a whole lot of blowout victories, but there was a lot of goose eggs on the other side too. So he's got big shoes to fill in a lot of ways. Best of luck to Coach Rawls doing that. Obviously with Cedric Alexander, the talented running back, leaving, Jamal Fenner moving on, and now Joe Rawls steps in at LBJ.
Yeah, that defense was really good, led by McCutcheon. And yeah, Coach Rawls, he has some big time shoes to fill. LBJ has become a power in football, especially in this area, going to Jerry World a couple of years ago, Cedric Alexander breaking the records that he has. So when you schedule LBJ, opposing teams are going to say, oh, this is one of the top teams in the state.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Rawls, I'm sure he's going to do a good job there. Definitely going to do a good job. And for Coach Fenner, you haven't really heard much at Texas, but he's doing a good job there. I'm interested to hear more when we talk to some of our guys tomorrow, like a Justin Wells and a Chip Brown, maybe what Jamal Fenner, what his impact has been thus far.
Yeah, it's a good point. Check out FLXATX on all your social media. We do the Flex segment every day at 1:30. And since we were just talking LBJ, maybe we should transition to OBJ at some point during this show. Zay, I got a weird story that's developing, but you talk about a couple of big brand names and blue bloods fighting over a name everybody knows. Odell Beckham Jr.'s name has been out there in the last few days, and it's been out there on a couple fronts. One, the Cowboys. Would the Cowboys possibly be interested in OBJ's services to help their receiving room? But then today a story is getting out that one of the things Aaron Rodgers has told the Jets is that he wants OBJ to be a target. So you've got legendary quarterback on one side leaving a blue blood, going to the Jets. And then you've got a blue blood franchise in the Cowboys that may or may not be interested. And they're not always great at getting the free agent. So OBJ, from what I was reading earlier, may still want serious receiver money. The question is, does somebody want to pay him?
What serious money?
Like $20 a year.
Oh, no.
Like that kind of serious.
Oh, no, Odell. Absolutely not. You're talking about a guy that's now 30 years old, a guy that's had multiple ACL injuries, and we didn't see him all of last year. Now, for health benefits, that's good for him. He was able to heal his body and get right. And I've seen drills of Odell Beckham. He does look good. 20 mil good? Hell no.
Right.
Hell to the no. If you're Jerry Jones, pass on that. 20 mil, you tripping.
And if you're the Jets, you probably need to pass.
Yeah. Jets, that's way too much too. If that's the case, Aaron Rodgers, how about the money you getting? You give that to Odell Beckham.
Right.
Bruh.
Keep an eye on that story.
Yeah, with how expensive these penthouses are in Manhattan and the taxes that you got in New York too, shoot. We can't be throwing that money around to you, Odell, which we can't rely on you. We don't know what Odell Beckham you're going to get. We know he's been good. He's had a solid career. He was really good for the Rams in that championship game, but he got hurt in that Super Bowl game.
He did. Yep.
And Odell Beckham, we just talked about Michael Irvin and his off the field stuff and how his reputation might be the reason why he's dealing with this now. I think Odell Beckham has done a really good job of building his reputation back up, especially with the Rams and how good he was with McVay. McVay has nothing but good things to say about him. So does Matt Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to worry about that Odell Beckham Jr. that was on the boat with the New York Giants during the NFL season, or Odell Beckham Jr. kicking the little net that the kickers.
I was gonna say proposing
kicking,
to the net.
proposing to the net, like all the antics stuff. You ain't got to worry about that Odell Beckham anymore. So that's good, but $20 million, nah, move around on that, Odell.
Yeah, we'll see if he's able to maybe come down on that price a little bit, especially if he finds out that, I don't know what the interest is from the Cowboys, but if it's legit that Aaron Rodgers wants to play with him, that's something maybe he's going to be would be a little bit flexible on. We'll see how that story plays out. Biggest story in the NFL is still going to be this Aaron Rodgers thing and what happens there. But the official league season begins tomorrow, and there's just so many different stories out there of different agreements that have already been made. Big-time offensive linemen have been on the move this week. We talked about a little bit of that. We got backup quarterbacks kind of moving around and jockeying for position. Just saw a story that Michael Thomas is going to sign a one-year deal and stay in New Orleans, it looks like. So maybe Derek Carr was able to talk him off the market, if you will, because there was a thought that there's no way they could keep him for just a one-year deal. He wanted something long-term, but maybe the Carr signing changed it a little bit.
I mean, what do you want from Michael Thomas at this point? From the ankle injuries to this past season with the toe, like, you can't rely on him either. It's been a long time since he's played even 7 games in a season. This is 3 straight years of him not playing football. And I know what he did prior to that with Drew Brees were some big-time wide receiver 1 numbers, like all-pro type numbers, breaking records and stuff. But now, when I don't even think he's 30 yet, and he's had all these injuries, like, yeah, he better be happy with this 1 year. Now, let me ask you this, Chad, being a Cowboys fan. Darren Waller to the Giants just happened.
That stings. I don't like that.
That's a good move, New York.
G-Men,
that's a good move.
You know my feelings about the tight end position. I love a good, freaky NFL tight end, and there's a lot of them out there. And, yeah, would have liked to have had a name like that in Dallas.
That's a good pickup for Daniel Jones and those guys.
I agree. I love Waller. I didn't realize Waller was on the move. That is crazy.
Yeah, he just got married to Kelsey Plum.
Did he really?
Yeah. So now they can't, that Vegas house, they probably going to sell that because she only there for the summer playing with the Vegas WNBA team. They only got like 20 games. They ain't no point. So, yeah, she can move to New York. She all right.
That's a hell of an athletic couple right there.
Oh, them kids.
Oh, my God.
They ever decide to have them, talk about expectations and pressure.
Yeah, exactly. You may want to, kids may want to stay away from football and basketball.
Yeah.
Maybe just try something
Mom,
else.
Dad, I want to be a musician. Like, what?
I want to be anything else right now. That is 30 years old for Michael Thomas.
Okay, he's right there.
Dead on 30. In fact, he just turned 30 on March 3rd.
Yep, even more so to not bank on him.
Yeah. And also in this story I just saw, this is from Derek Carr, I believe. Quote, I told my wife when I got off the phone, she was like, why are you smiling? And I was like, I love this guy. He's so competitive. The energy he brings, it would be very exciting to throw him the football. So I guess they had a good conversation, and he's going to be in New Orleans. So keep your eye on that one. A lot of NFL stories will be hitting this week. We'll try to hit as many as we can. Coming up at 2 o'clock, more bracket tips from Zay. He's already let you know about some 12 and 13 seeds that he likes. Let you know how far he thinks Kansas is going, at least for now. He's going to reserve the judgment based on Bill Self and the injury situation on that team as well. A lot of stuff to consider for your brackets. We'll get back into that at 2. Up next, where are we at in society? Zay will let us know. Don't move. It's the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, rolling through a Tuesday. This would be a good example of you may not think you know a song by an artist, but you know this one, and it just happens to be that guy. It's Alice Cooper with Poison, and there's a couple others you could put in the category, but this is one of his big hits. Huge kind of crossover. You hear this song played a lot, so even if you didn't know it was Alice Cooper, it's Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Love me some Alice. He's out there with, I think he's going to open some shows for Def Leppard and Motley Crue later this year if you want to check him out. So Alice Cooper, Aretha Franklin and George Michael, Vixen and Crystal Waters have all been on the show today. An interesting set of music as always. Thanks to Zay for that. Thanks to Zay for some of his bracket tips. Hopefully he's helping you out, figuring out the bracket stuff. We'll get back into that in the 2 o'clock hour. We want to remind you, Texas baseball tonight against North Dakota State. You know those guys are happy to be in Austin. I'm sure the weather in North Dakota is not exactly baseball friendly right now.
It's cold down here.
Yeah, right, and it's a little chilly here today. It's going to be LeBaron Johnson again for Texas. Now, tomorrow, the same two teams will play, and it's TBA on the mound for Texas. So we'll see how LeBaron looks tonight. Last week wasn't as good from the pitching perspective, but he did get the win. Longhorns 5-0 on the homestand, and now got themselves back up over 500 at 9-7. 6:30 start tonight, 6:15 pregame here on the Horn. All right, Zay, let's get a little where are we at in society, see where you're going today.
Where are we at in society today?
All right, I have seen things coming in on Twitter, so I got my Twitter open. What are we talking about?
All right, Chad. Well, pictures came out because there's a new biopic coming to TV. We know I like a good biopic.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite, the OJ one. FX did that one. FX also did one on Versace. Notorious, Biggie Smalls, that's all right. The Tupac one wasn't good. Eazy-E, NWA, that was good. But FX is doing one on Donald Sterling and the Clippers.
Wow. Okay.
And I sent you photos.
Yes, you did.
Characters that we're gonna see on the biopic, and who's gonna be playing them.
Okay.
Now the stars. Not many stars, but there's a couple, and you need stars for the main guys, which is Doc Rivers and Donald Sterling. You got Ed O'Neill. That's his name?
Ed O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill,
Yep.
Modern Family, Married with Children.
Yep.
He's playing Donald Sterling.
Al Bundy himself.
Al Bundy, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you got Lawrence Fishburne playing Doc Rivers. And he has the Doc Rivers edge up. Like, we're putting out photos on the Horn of what we and he has the Doc Rivers edge up, which is too tight and it looks fake as hell. Lawrence ain't no Doc. Like, if I'm Doc Rivers, I'm heated.
Yeah, it's just not quite. It's just like the Lawrence. We all just kind of know Lawrence Fishburne is a much bigger frame than that.
Yeah.
He's just a bigger frame dude.
You're Morpheus.
Than Doc Rivers? Like, if Lawrence Fishburne was a basketball player, he wouldn't be Doc Rivers. At all.
At all.
He wouldn't be a guard, by the way, to me. He's at least a forward, isn't he?
Yeah.
Fishburne's a big dude. Yeah, I don't love that. I don't love that casting, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy Ed O'Neill as Donald Sterling.
That's going to be tough.
Boy, that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I can't recognize a lot of these other actors. I see somebody playing Blake Griffin, looks nothing like Blake Griffin. The guy that looked Chris Paul, he's just black, so they said, whatever, we'll roll with it. DeAndre Jordan, same, just a black dude with braids. Matt Barnes, just a light-skinned dude. And JJ Redick, just some random white dude. They're all actors. Like, can these guys even hoop?
Just some random.
You gotta be able to hoop. So I had fun. And
oh, wait, is that you that did that?
Made a version of you and I, Chad, of who we would play on the FX biopic.
I'm ready.
And you will be playing, obviously, Rick Carlisle.
Yes, I'm ready to go.
And I'll be playing Draymond Green.
I am ready to go.
Which we look more like those guys than oh boy looks like Chris Paul and Blake Griffin.
That is fantastic. Yeah, that is that's some tough casting. The JJ Redick guy's nowhere close. Barnes, kind of, I guess. That's a really tough casting on Blake Griffin. That's a tough cast.
That's horrible.
That is a tough casting. And by the way, if I was Donald Sterling's girlfriend, I'd be thrilled they picked that actress to play me. She's way better looking than the real woman. Way better looking.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they overshot on that one a little bit. That is an interesting casting, and I don't know. Yeah, I will say that whoever that third woman is supposed to be, who is that, like Sterling's wife? Who is that?
Yeah, I want to say that's I don't know. I don't know who that is.
That might be the most dead on they figured out.
That's true.
That actress is going to pull that off.
And I recognize her, too, the actress.
Yeah.
I've seen her in things.
She'll be fine there. So we'll get those retweeted. Zay is at @ain't_that_Zay. I just retweeted it at C Hastings 1049. The station is at The Horn ATX. So do we have a release date for this biopic right now?
We don't. Okay. Still in the making.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be rough. That is going to be rough.
Now, you think Lawrence Fishburne could do the Doc Rivers voice? The voice, I mean? Hey, let's go, fellas. Let's go. Chris, let's get it.
I trust him to pull the voice off.
You think he got it?
I trust him to pull that part off. It's his
Joel, what are we doing, Joel?
Get
on the block.
It's his body he can't change. That's the problem. That's going to be the big problem. Because Doc Rivers is just, I mean, I don't know if iconic's not the right word, but when you cast these type of movies and you get into famous athletes and people that you know so well, I mean, Doc Rivers has that signature kind of face and his smile, and you're right, the delivery and just the way he is. Somebody trying to be Doc Rivers, I've never even thought of that as a possibility.
Yo, even though I like the OJ biopic, Cuba Gooding Jr., he was the worst actor on the show. Playing OJ,
yeah,
like, it's the same thing of what you're getting to on Doc and Lawrence Fishburne. Like, Cuba Gooding doesn't look like the Juice, nor does he have that football physique like maybe in college he would have won the Heisman. Right. And it's Cuba Gooding.
And say what you will about O.J. Simpson, and it's all warranted. O.J.'s an iconic type of guy.
Yeah.
He'd been on your TV so long, and he'd been in, you know what he looks like and sounds like and everything. Yeah, he was not the best part of that show at all. I dug what's her name as Marcia Clark. I thought was great.
She did good.
And then Johnny, the guy that played Johnny Cochran. What's that guy's name? I always forget his name. He's got an initial in the middle of his name, I think. But he was great. He made me believe. Those two made me believe. Everyone else in that show, Schwimmer was okay as Kardashian. Did an okay job.
That was
did all right.
That was janky.
But those two lawyers I thought were good.
Yeah.
They made me believe. Sarah Paulson is the one that played Marcia Clark.
That's right.
She's awesome. I love her. And then what's his name? Is it Sterling? Okay, Sterling K. Brown is
my man from This Is Us.
That's This Is Us.
Yeah.
Was he Johnny Cochran, or is it? No, there's somebody else. It's like but it's somebody else that's got an initial, I think. There's Sterling K. There's a Sterling K or a Sterling P. And I mix the two actors up all the time. Those are the two guys I mix up.
Yeah. The Winning Time, Lakers, that was good. John C. Reilly, Jerry Buss.
Yeah, I bought that. I did. You're right. Sterling K. Brown is, he is This Is Us, and I don't think he's not the guy that was. No.
But what Winning Time has going for him, Chad, they have somebody that we've never seen before play Magic. So you could buy that a lot easier than somebody like Cuba Gooding playing OJ and Lawrence Fishburne playing Doc.
Real quick, I was right about the initial. Courtney B. Vance.
Okay.
I always mix those two guys up because of the initial in the middle of their name. I always screw that part up. Courtney B. Vance as Johnny Cochran was awesome. And Sterling K. Brown is fantastic in whatever he does as well.
Yeah.
Both initials I really enjoy. But you're right. By the end of that show, I bought that dude as Magic. I didn't think I would.
Like Kareem, that seemed right.
Yeah, that worked. They hit a couple of those guys pretty well, and I give John C. Reilly credit. By the end of it, I kind of bought him. I sort of bought him as Jerry Buss.
Yeah. Now I'm watching the Wu-Tang biopic.
Yeah.
They have Busta Rhymes in there. It might be one of the worst impressions of Busta Rhymes I've ever seen in my life.
It's
like
so
RZA,
tough.
you should be ashamed of yourself. for disrespecting Buster like that,
And that's
who you just got off the road with.
But think that's another guy. You just for whatever you think or don't think of Buster Rhymes, kind of a unique human being.
Yeah.
Kind of a unique looking human being, sounding human being, the way he carries himself. It's just like if somebody says, well, all we have to do now is cast Snoop Dogg. Really? That's all you have to do?
Yo.
That's hard to do.
Snoop Dogg in NWA, the movie, horrible. That was a bad Snoop.
Wait, I've seen that movie. I can't remember. It was
when
it's not even memorable to me.
Yeah,
now.
he comes in the studio and Dre's in there, and this is when Dre went Death Row.
Okay.
And Snoop's wearing all his blue, and Suge's being the blood that he is. Everybody was like, "What the hell, Dre doing bringing Crips up in here?" And yeah, it was a good moment, but he ain't look like Snoop at all.
That's tough to pull off. All right, look for the biopic on the Donald Sterling situation, if you will. That one's going to be tough. Ed O'Neill trying to pull off Donald Sterling. That's going to be like the Al Pacino as Joe Paterno thing. That's kind of what that's going to be like, right? It's a guy that you may or may not think of as having monstrous qualities that's trying to make me believe he's a monster. That's tough. And in this case, there's a different maybe layer to the monster. You're going to have to make me believe that.
Yeah, you're right. Al Pacino, it just made me feel like Joe Paterno was going to whack his quarterback if he made a bad pass.
Yeah,
it was, I get what they were trying to do, but not Al.
Yeah, he was too. Yeah, that's where the actor's too iconic. Sometimes the actor's so. That's what I worry about with this Air movie. My wife wants to go see the Air movie about Jordan and the Nikes. All I'm going to think of is, hey, look, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are trying to make me believe they're these two people. And I don't think I'm going to buy it.
No.
For 1 second. Like
Ben Affleck, Phil Knight, hell no.
Ben Affleck kind of, sort of, in a way, looks like Phil Knight a little bit to me, but Matt Damon looks nothing like Vaccaro.
Yo, no, not at all.
Everybody know what Sonny Vaccaro looks like?
That's an ugly son of a bee.
Yeah. I've never actually seen him in person, but I bet if I did, first thing in my mind would be, boy, does that dude not look like Matt Damon.
He ain't a pretty dude. He ain't a pretty dude.
He's not. And you know what? This is probably the first, real quick, back to this Clippers movie. This is probably the first time Ed O'Neill would have played someone that he's more handsome than. Because Donald Sterling's an ugly, ugly dude. Ed O'Neill's better looking than he is.
What you mean? Ed O'Neill pulled Sofia Vergara, Modern Family.
Well,
you got something?
They casted it that way.
What you mean?
They casted it that way.
She agreed.
That's true. No, I love Ed O'Neill. He's great. That's a great show, by
That's
the way.
one of the greatest shows ever invented.
Such a good show. Modern Family is beastly good. All right, coming up your 2 o'clock hour, Zay's got more bracket tips for you. We'll go back over some of his 12 seed and 13 seed thoughts, his thoughts on Kansas. How far does he have Texas going right now? We'll ask about that, too. A lot of injuries to consider, too, around the bracket. We will hit all that coming up. Remember, go to hornfm.com if you want to enter our bracket contest. We got other things for you to win. Stay tuned. We'll tell you all about it on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
We hope you are having a good Tuesday. Let's go hour number 3 on the Horn. Chad and Zay with you. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. He picks a beat out for us to start the third hour. What we got, Zay? This sounds like a Jay-Z or Kanye could be rapping over it. What is this?
Yo, Jay-Z is featured on this song.
Come on. Just sounds very, big and bold, and here we go.
Right. Yeah, this is young Jeezy. Well, now he's just Jeezy because he ain't so young no more. But off his first album, Thug Motivation 101, a classic.
Wow.
It might have to be a review.
Ooh, okay.
But Go Crazy, featuring Jay-Z.
How about that? That is, tell me the name of that album again. That's fantastic.
Thug Motivation 101.
That's a great title. Great title. Yeah, I always wonder when an artist picks a word in their name and then you might be forced to reconsider. I always wonder when that happens. If the word young or Lil is in your name, do you have to make an adjustment? Lil Bow Wow did, right?
Yeah.
He's not Lil Bow Wow anymore.
He don't even want to be Bow Wow no more. He want to be Shad Moss, his acting name.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Really? What, does he think there's going to be another Fast and Furious call him up?
I don't know.
Is that what he thinks?
He's a decent actor. He ain't bad.
No, he is good.
In Entourage, he did his thing. And that Fast and Furious, he did his thing.
He's good. That Fast and Furious it's a Fast and Furious movie, so you got to take it for what it is. Much better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I always thought everybody stayed away from Tokyo Drift because it was just some horrifically terrible movie. It's not. It's actually pretty good.
Since it doesn't flow with the rest of them,
Yeah.
it's in its own cult category. Like, you already have your cult people loving Fast and Furious movies, but there's a very specific group, including myself, that loves Tokyo Drift more than all of them.
See, there's two wonderful worlds of just non-realism in the Fast and Furious universe. One is clearly just all the stunts they pull off that are completely unrealistic, that could never happen, right, in real life and physics and all that. But the second part is how they go about tying everything together and bringing people back to life and trying to explain why someone's in this movie and not in this movie. It's hilariously wonderful.
It's nuts.
It's just wonderful where they are right now. And once May gets here and I can go buy a ticket to Fast 10, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go see it in the theater. I'm not going to run away from that. All right, so we start this hour with a lot of different things that we've been hitting today. We'll get back to some bracket tips from Zay. If you want to get in our bracket contest, go to hornfm.com. Shout out to Audio Visual Consultations. Once again, a TV is your prize there. Speaking of a prize, how about the ultimate prize of Final Four tickets? Shout out, Zay, to Shelby and Syntex Tickets.
That's right. Shelby, get them to me quick. SyntexTickets.com. They will be providing 2 pair of tickets to both Dallas and Houston men's and women's Final Four.
There you go. So a pair for each. So you want to go register for just the men's? Go do that. You want to go register for just the women's? Go do that. Remember, one household can't win both.
Correct.
That's our only kind of caveat there. Women's Final Four up in Dallas, men's Final Four, of course, in Houston. So you can go check that out at hornfm.com as well. Shout out to Syntex Tickets. And if you need, concert tickets or anything else, you can check out Syntex Tickets for that. It's that time of year where I feel like I'm looking at events, movies and shows and concerts.
It's going down.
All that stuff. So we'll get back to the bracket stuff. We've hit a lot of football today as well. Cowboys re-signing Donovan Wilson. Is there an OBJ story developing with the Cowboys, or is it more with Aaron Rodgers, who reportedly might have told the Jets he wants OBJ, and the Jets are looking at every receiver he's ever thrown to in Green Bay? I don't know if Donald Driver's on their speed dial, but apparently they're talking to Lazard and they're talking to Randall Cobb. So we've hit all of that. Also, let's get you a feel-good story before we go back to the brackets. If you remember the horrific shooting at Virginia, where multiple Virginia students were fired upon in that bus. Remember, they went on the tour, they come back, and there were multiple football players and then another student that were ultimately shot. 3 of the football players died, but the football player that survived, he was shot in the back, he rushed back on the bus to help, was Mike Hollins. He was a full participant at Cavaliers spring practice today.
Wow.
Good for you, young man. My goodness. I see a picture of him here, rocking the number 7 and going through practice. If you're not rooting for the Virginia Cavaliers on some level, that's amazing. Discharged from the hospital back in, let's see, the incident happened in November, and then he was there for about a week or so, got off the ventilator, kept getting better, and now he's at spring practice.
Amazing.
Good for him.
Amazing. You know, when you see guys like that, and then you see guys like Commanders running back Brian Robinson.
Yes. Yeah, another good example.
Who got shot and played this year and was really good for the Commanders, probably their best back. And these guys just overcoming very dramatic, crazy events. And now just, let alone walking, playing, like that's impressive.
Yeah, you know the team's going to take a lot of motivation from him, and just apparently the team is, as you can imagine, has responded really well to having him around and everything. So shout out to him. Also shout out to Marley Morgan, another student that was shot but did survive the terrible situation there back in November. All right, so some good news there to start the hour. We'll watch for that story in Virginia football. Also, speaking of college, we're talking a lot of brackets today. Zay's been throwing out some bracket tips for you today. So let me review what we've heard so far. Earlier, Zay said he thinks Kansas may lose in the second round, but he'll hold off full judgment till what, they play Friday? No, they play Thursday like Texas does, I think. They're in Des Moines too. Zay, do you realize that Longhorn fans, Aggie fans, Kansas fans, and Arkansas fans are all in Des Moines?
No.
The Arkansas fans are there too.
Huh.
That one just hit me. Arkansas fans, Texas fans, Aggie fans, all in the same place.
I hope security's ready.
Wow. Had not realized that one until today.
Yeah, I hope there's all hands on deck because there might be some fighting going on.
So, Zay told you earlier, VCU over St. Mary's is definitely a 12-5 he would look at. And, ironically, Iona over UConn is a 13-4 he'd look at, which that would mean VCU would play Iona in the second round in a 12 versus 13 matchup. Zay, you also talked about one of the last things you were talking about is kind of you were looking at, when you win in terms of you were talking about your ultimate winner and how you pick it, or what was the last?
Ultimate winner, the top 30 in offensive
right.
and defensive efficiency.
Look for those stats. Get a little nerdy on those stats. Top 30 in offensive and defensive efficiency. We're on a run where a team is in that category every year. Zay rattled off 8 teams for you earlier. Texas is one of them that is in that category. So that's something else to consider. And also for your ultimate one, I'll just throw in a basic one. I think still to this day, the highest seed ever to win the national championship is still Villanova at an 8. I think that's true.
In 85?
Yeah. I believe that is still the highest seed. I don't believe a 9 seed or higher has won it. So if you're thinking about getting crazy, you can get a little crazy early, but don't go picking an 11 seed to win it all.
Yeah.
That does not happen.
No. And another tip for y'all, a 2 seed, one of these 2 seeds most likely won't make it to the second weekend. And I'm looking at all of them right now. Texas, feel like they're good. Arizona, feel like they're good. Shaka Smart Marquette, feel like they're good. So that leaves UCLA, who doesn't have the defensive player of the year in the Pac-12, Jalen Clark. That might hurt them. And depending on who wins that game between Northwestern and Boise State, I like Boise State there as of now. I could see Boise State beating the Bruins. Because
of that injury.
Yeah, because of that injury.
Yeah.
They played Arizona tough, but it was more because they've seen Arizona so many times. They knew how to play them. But when they play one of these fresh teams, I like Jaime Jaquez, I like Tiger Campbell, but when you're losing one of your best players defensively, and Jalen Clark averaged 13 a game offensively, so you're not getting that back either. Now Crowan has to play all these younger guys. For a 2 seed not making it, if you had to pick one, I'd pick UCLA.
No, I think it's an interesting pick because they're one of those teams, high-seeded teams with these big injury stories circling them. They're a huge story. Does Sasser play for Houston? If so, is he limited? That's a 1 seed that's affected. Probably won't be affected in that first game, but in the second game, that probably gets them. And we've already talked about Tennessee today, a 4 seed that feels really different without Ziegler on the floor.
Yeah.
That's a completely different discussion. So different that, again, Seth Davis on CBS immediately in the selection show said Louisiana beats them.
Well, for Tennessee, when Zakai Ziegler's out there, it allows guys like Key and Santiago Vescovi to do what they do best, and that's shoot the basketball. Now that Ziegler's out, both of those guys, they have point guard duties and point guard responsibilities. Also, they have to give that scoring that they be given all year long. So that takes away the game that you really want to play for Rick Barnes. And plus, Ziegler defensively, like I said earlier, he's one of the best defenders in the nation, especially at his size. Pound for pound, he's the best defender in the nation. But, sometimes guys might shoot over him, but his toughness, man, like what he did to Tyrese Hunter, and Tyrese Hunter is very good and has had a really good season as of late. He made Tyrese Hunter look like a mid-major player. So that Louisiana game's really interesting. Now, Louisiana, their schedule hasn't been that tough, and this is going to be their best game or their toughest team that they face, even without Zakai Ziegler. But Raging Cajuns, I like them at this spot. I really do.
Yeah, that's a game I think a lot of people are going to start seeing once they put everything together with Tennessee. So we've hit a lot of those different things. Also, Zay told you yesterday he likes all the Big 12 teams to get out of their first-round matchups. You're not picking any Big 12 team to lose the first game, correct?
If I had to pick one, it'd be Baylor. It'd be Baylor losing to Santa Barbara.
Okay.
Just Baylor hasn't played good as of late, and Santa Barbara, they've only lost 7 games this year, and they looked really good. They got a couple of guys in Mitchell that could really hoop. It's averaged 20 points a game in like the last 3 games. So with Keontae George coming back in the lineup and him getting hurt against Texas a couple of weeks ago with that ankle, he has not looked the same. And he's their best scorer. I love LJ Cryer. I love Adam Flagler. And they definitely have to play well. And we know Bonner came in and had that really good game off the bench against the Horns. And he had a couple of good games after that. But there's a reason why he's on the bench. There's a reason why Scott Drew doesn't have him in the lineup majority of the time when most guys are healthy. And if Keontae George, who didn't look good in the Big 12 tournament against Iowa State, if he's still playing and laboring that ankle, I could see them losing first round. I'm not going to pick it. I still think all Big 12 teams are going to win their first game. But if one had to go down, it'd either be Iowa State or Baylor, and I'd lean more Baylor.
Okay. And Zay's also talked about that 8-9 matchup in the West with Arkansas and Illinois. He thinks the winner of that can beat Kansas in the second round. I think that's one people forget about sometimes, an 8-9 against a 1. Never forget those, man. We've seen those happen. We've seen those come through where people think, oh, my God, did you see that 1 seed in the first round? They were amazing.
Right.
They won by 42. Calm down. They played a mid-major that's lost 20 games. Like, did you see exactly what happened? Because we get freaked out by those, and then they get in a dogfight, and you kind of get surprised. Zay, if West Virginia and Alabama both win their first game in Birmingham, do you think Bob Huggins could take Bama out? Is that group that good? Could they make it ugly and nasty and broken bottle enough to take out Miller and Bama and that crew?
Yeah. Because this is a team that beat the brakes off of Oklahoma during the regular season, and Oklahoma beat the brakes off Alabama. Now, you can't base it off that. Each matchup's different, and I think Alabama just clicking at the right time, winning the SEC championship. Because remember, the SEC Big 12 Challenge, that's a weird game. Like, you're in the flow of the SEC of your conference, and all of a sudden it's that random game at the end of January, and they had to go on the road. And Big 12 being the best conference in basketball, I think if they would have just thrown all 10 teams in the tournament, you might argue that all 10 teams would win their first game. Now, that's not the case with only 7 getting in there, but still, Oklahoma, they beat some really good teams this year, Alabama being one of them. I would not be surprised if Huggy Bear got that dub, but I wouldn't pick it.
If Bama gets by that game, that could be interesting. That's the first one I'd look at. Could be some really interesting, real good test for them. Good test. That would be a nice little test.
I was watching San Diego State this weekend play Utah State in the Mountain West Championship. They got some brothers.
San Diego State does?
They got some brothers where if I was that coach, I'd be a little afraid to go into their neighborhood to recruit them type brothers. Like, they got some tough, physical, veteran guys, 5-year senior guys, and just watch that Sweet 16 matchup. If both of those teams advance, watch that Sweet 16 matchup, Alabama and San Diego State.
Okay.
They would give Alabama everything they want and then some.
Interesting. All right, yeah, San Diego State, the 5 seed there in the South. Tonight, it is the first 2 play-in games. Southeast Missouri State against A&M Corpus Christi. The winner is who Bama is going to play. Any thoughts on these 16 seeds tonight? Have you seen any either one or care either way?
I mean, I want Corpus Christi to win. So,
want the Texas team to win?
Yeah, I want the Texas team to win, but that's about it. Now, statistics show, Chad, on the 11th seed, one of the 11 seed teams makes it past the first round. So maybe a team tonight, whoever wins Mississippi State and Pitt, or whoever wins tomorrow, Nevada versus Arizona State, watch that matchup moving forward, because a lot of the time that team wins their next game after. So they'll go back-to-back, win on Tuesday and Thursday or Wednesday, Friday. Majority of the time, the 11th seed will advance.
If I'm not mistaken, an 11 seed advancing is how Shaka ended up in Austin.
That's right.
Because that VCU team went on a run from an 11 seed, win a play-in game, get in, and they made it all the way to the Final Four.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to take Marquette where I really want to take them, just out of spite. Just out of petty and spite. Like, you serious, bruh? All that talent that you had down here, you couldn't win one tournament game, then you move on and go to Marquette, and you got team that people in the national media are picking to win the whole thing. God,
did he win one last year? Did they win a tournament game last year?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
But this year, they got a squad.
Tonight,
I hate it. They got a squad, though.
Tonight, it's Pitt against Mississippi State in that 11 game, and the winner gets Iowa State. So just something to keep in mind there if you're thinking about maybe picking an 11 over a 6. Tonight's winner will play Iowa State. We'll get to tomorrow's games as they come. Up next, we will get you a little why today matters. The nerds would tell you it's Pi Day, but we'll give you some other reasons March 14th matters to us. Texas baseball coming up tonight against North Dakota State. That's a 6:15 pregame, a 6:30 first pitch right here on the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk a little sinus and snoring specialists. It is spring break week. Hope everybody's having a good spring break week. And like they've done the last couple years, my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and my niece and nephew came to see us. So they're sleeping in, new situations for them, different situations for them. And I do hope they had a good night's sleep. They told me at least they did. I know I'm always having a good night's sleep because of sinus and snoring specialists. That'll make sure every trip is good for you, no matter what hotel you're in, no matter whose basement you might be sleeping in, no matter whose guest room you might be sleeping in. You're going to have a great night's sleep because you get your sleep apnea taken care of. Or maybe it's sinus issues that you've had, or maybe it's an allergy problem that this area can seem to provide. They can take care of all of that at Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Make it a gift to yourself. It's springtime. The weather's crazy. It's dry. It's wet. It's hot. It's cold. And it can really mess with you if you have the sinus stuff. But I haven't had to worry about it since 2017. Call and set up an appointment today, and you won't have to worry about it either. 512-601-0303 or go to sinussnoringent.com. It's Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy.
Chad and Zay.
One time.
That's a heck
Talk
of a
to him, El Boogie.
That's a setup right there now. Would this be Miss Hill?
That's right.
Okay. There it is.
One time.
So does this end up, is this a Fuji song or a her song?
Fuji song.
It's a Fuji song. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is their reworking of Killing Me Softly, most famously done by Roberta Flack, I believe is the artist.
True. In my book, this is the most famous one.
This one probably ends up, that'd be an interesting thing to look at, sort of musical nerd-wise, which charted higher and for longer, because this was a monster when it hit.
Oh, this was big.
This is a great song. No matter, it's kind of a hard song to screw up, but this group did an amazing job with it. So Lauryn Hill and the Fugees. That's not the name of the band, but I'll give her credit because the vocal's so amazing. The Fugees, along with Alice Cooper and Aretha Franklin and George Michael and Vixen and Crystal Waters have all been on the show. Plus the Young Jeezy beat to start the hour with Jay-Z alongside as well. So at some point, I've got to listen to that Lauryn Hill album. Is there a Fugees album you tell me to listen to?
Yeah, The Score.
Okay.
Yeah, that's their classic one.
So they have an album that was that big time.
Oh, yeah.
Now, were they ever the Fugees without her?
No.
Okay. So they did the Fuji stuff, and then she goes off and does the solo project.
Correct.
And then were they no longer the Fugees after that, or did they come back?
She had her own issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was
like
the
mental health issues.
Oh,
where
okay. I thought you meant like just she was a massive star and
I mean, that too.
the room was not big
But
enough.
I think that was part of the problem. Like, she became so massive.
Okay.
I think it overwhelmed her in ways where it hurt her mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad.
Stuff we don't think of. It's stuff you don't think of. Everybody just thinks naturally like, oh, man, you're standing on a stage in front of 80,000 people. Isn't that great? Well, maybe, but for some people, that freaks them out.
Yo, her Grammy picture is so iconic. She's like holding 5, like how Michael Jackson did back in Thriller. Yeah, she's like having a hard time holding them for that album that she dropped.
I love those shots when somebody has that kind of night. Like these directors from that Everything Everywhere All at Once. They could have done that. All the Oscars they won, on Sunday. But yeah, those are great pictures. Michael was the first one I remember. Adele had one of those nights.
Right.
Beyonce's had those nights. And then obviously, yeah. And Lauryn Hill's not exactly the biggest, tallest woman that's ever lived.
Tiny.
So she's trying to carry everything. Be a little different. All right. It is March 14th. We hope you're having a great Tuesday. We hope your brackets are coming together well. We have another day to get bracket info to you and maybe help you out. Tomorrow at 12:30, Scott Spinelli, the former interim coach at BC. We had him on last week, college basketball analyst and for the Believe Network, does a show there. We'll talk to him tomorrow about what he thinks of Texas, the bracket. He did tell us to watch Drake last week, and he really liked him. We'll see if he likes him to pull off a 12-5 over Miami. We'll do that at 12:30. 1:05 tomorrow, Justin Wells of Inside Texas. 2:05 tomorrow, Chip Brown of Horns247.com. And tonight, it's Texas baseball against North Dakota State at 6:30. So be sure to check it out. 6:15 pregame right here on the Horn. All right, let's tell you why today matters. It is Tuesday, March 14th.
Why Today Matters, brought to you by Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Get sinus and snoring relief with Dr. Daniel Slaughter at Sinus and Snoring Specialists, 512-601-0303 or sinussnoringent.com.
All righty. 1 month after Valentine's Day, if you are one of those people that's into that other holiday somebody made up, God love you. Do what you do. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's also, we were just talking music, Zay. The other day we hit Rick Rubin. Massive producer. Another massive producer in my life is this guy, and he hits 90 today. Quincy Jones.
Man.
The big 9-0. for Q Jones today. You talk about producing some important music. Holy hell. Go look at that guy's list. Go look at that collaboration list. The Time with Michael Jackson is obviously something a lot of people will go to, but Michael and Stevie Wonder, and it's just the list.
Yeah, Motown, baby.
Oh, he's incredible. So shout out to Quincy today. Also, Zay, since it is basketball time, I thought I would throw some energy into the discussion. One of my favorite college basketball players of all time has a birthday today. It is the 5-0 for Grandmama Larry Johnson.
Larry Johnson out of Dallas, Texas, baby.
Ooh, born in Tyler, which I didn't realize, but then ends up in Dallas. Goes to Odessa College for 2 years of junior college. And I read today, to this day, he's the only player ever to be the overall junior college MVP 2 years in a row. Nobody else has ever done that. And he led everything in scoring, and he had every stat.
Yeah, because once you're MVP that first year, you leave and go to a 4-year school.
Yeah, you're gone. He went back-to-back and did it, and then ends up at UNLV, and I loved that run, man. I loved watching him whip Duke, and I was heartbroken when Duke got him the next year, but I'll never forget those moments. There was a friend of mine and we both fell for him hard. I can still see us watching the game. We had our Tarte towels, and we were chewing on them.
Biting them things.
Yeah, because that's
so gross.
Dude,
it was probably on the ground, touching people's hands. Like, they hand you the towel, Tarte, and you put it in your mouth. Oh my
so
gosh.
nasty. So nasty. We used clean towels. We did not use the ones that were on the floor. But yeah, I was about 14 years old, when they were hitting. And so I love Larry Johnson, that whole group, Augman and
Gary and Greg Anthony.
The whole deal. Greg Anthony.
Yeah.
Was it George Ackles? Who are we forgetting? I think we hit them all. And Anderson Hunt. Right, was the other guy, the big, long, one of those first guys I saw taking threes, and like, why is he taking it from way out there?
Yeah,
Boom.
he's a big. Get your ass in the post.
Boom, and then he would hit it. They were incredible to watch.
Grandmama, if he didn't get hurt, like his first 2 years in the league for Charlotte, he was really good. Mm-hmm. And then he started getting injuries, and he lost that athleticism. Like that New York version of him, that was a tough version. I know he hit that iconic and 1-3 against the Pacers, but other than that, like his tenure there wasn't the best, dude. He was just limited. But those first few years in Charlotte, him and Alonzo Mourning, and Muggsy Bogues, Kendall Gill, like they were beating the Celtics like early on.
Yeah, no, you're right. He was on some good
Celtics teams. Like if he didn't get hurt, he would have been 10-time All-Star.
Love that dude, man. Just such a great combo of everything you want. The strength and the speed and the smooth and the nasty. And he was incredible. So Larry's 54 today. Happy birthday. Speaking of shooting it from way outside, Steph Curry, 35 today. And
I'm rocking the Steph shirt today.
Look at you. Well done. That's well done. Happy 35 to Steph. And if you didn't know him before then, if you didn't know that Del Curry had a kid that was at a school you may not have heard of, that tournament, that year, and there ended up being 2 tournaments where Davidson made a run, but specifically
his sophomore season,
that first season where he was hitting everything under the sun, baby face Steph with really, really short hair, and just looked like a little kid. But Steph Curry, 35 today, he was one of those guys I think of where the tournament makes the name. The tournament gets my attention. And I go, oh, yeah, that guy. Now I know who you are. And obviously he's gone on to a whole nother level. And like, as you've said, might be when we're all gone, the greatest shooter the NBA's ever seen.
Oh, he's the greatest shooter.
And I don't think I quite thought that when I saw him at Davidson. But it's just an amazing run for him. Amazing story.
Oh, I didn't think he'd be able to translate to the league. Because he's so small, especially Davidson Steph Curry. Like, he's put on some muscle, which has helped him have a Hall of Fame career in the NBA. But when he was coming out of Davidson, and they were always showing his fine-ass mama in the stands, and that run that he had, just killing Wisconsin. And who was the other really good team that he beat that tournament? I feel like it was Georgetown. He beat a good Georgetown team.
I think you might be right.
That had Otto Porter on and just lighting them up. And they were in SoCon conference. Like, they're in a smaller conference that they are now. So he put Davidson on the map. Now Davidson has the Curry brand behind them. And, he's the greatest shooter of all time. I know I talk about Dame being number 2. It's because Steph is number 1, and they ain't even close.
Yeah, he is a badass. 35 years old today. Also, one other quick birthday, Zay, since you made her one of your greats the other day. Simone Biles is 26 today.
Ah, Simone.
26. By the way, I overshot. I said she's got 6 activities or apparatus or whatever they call it that are named for her. She only has 4. She only has 4.
Okay.
So let's be fair. But that's how good she is. That she's got stuff that she does and did in gymnastics. They had to rename it for her because it was so difficult. Like there's a certain floor exercise that she had that they judged it as like by far the hardest thing anyone had ever attempted in gymnastics. And so there's 2 things she does on the floor exercise, I believe it is, that are hers. They had to name them for her because she's so damn good.
If somebody told me there's a video out there of Simone Biles grabbing rim with 2 hands, I'd believe them.
Yeah.
That's how athletic she is.
I probably would too. Yeah.
She is so athletic, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is a whole nother kind of bounce, whole nother kind of verticality to her. She's incredible.
You think she has another Olympics in her, another run? Because I know once you hit your 20s, it starts, they don't really look at you like you did when you were in your teens.
Yeah, I'm going to lean towards no, but...
How old is she today?
26.
Woo.
26. It feels
When's the next one?
Next year, 24, right?
Oh, she got it.
Ooh, maybe. It's her. So
It's her, yeah.
She can. I'll say she doesn't, but she can if she wants to, obviously. She'd probably show up as the favorite, which would be cool because that shouldn't just be a sport for 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
It should be something you can evolve through. Hopefully she can pull it off. We will see. But kind of back to the mental side of things, right? She went through that whole deal in 20. So maybe or whenever that was, 20 or 21 or 22, whenever the Olympics ended up happening with COVID. But hopefully she will, if she's able to do it, that would be great to see. Happy birthday to Simone today as well. Up next, Stems and Seeds. Before we get out of here, a lot of football notes today, including the Raiders trading Darren Waller to a team not called the Cowboys in the Cowboys division, and wait till you hear what they gave up to get him. Not that I'm upset about it. This is The Horn. And it's also tournament time with Underdog Fantasy. Easiest place to play fantasy sports in general. I was getting ready for, tournament stuff. March Madness is here. The college basketball pick'em. Great way to get into the action. And I couldn't resist this one. Texas fans, how about this? Marcus Carr for the game coming up against Colgate, 0.5 points. Higher or lower? Oh, yeah, that's one of their special picks. You obviously want to pick higher on that because Marcus is going to score a point in the game. Pair that up with another player, and you will get yourself a pick'em game thrown together. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build that pick'em entry. You can also make rivals picks, which pits 2 players against each other. Check out the pick insurance option if you like. It is so easy to get signed up. Get it on your phone. I tweeted out mine for the Texas Colgate game. I got Oliver Lynch Daniels of Colgate and Jabari Rice of Texas in there as well. Go check that out at C Hastings 1049. Then sign up today with the promo code HORN and get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Get you a pick'em game together. Don't forget that Marcus Carr special they've got today at Underdog Fantasy.
Chad and Zay.
Like that beat. Just about to wrap up a Tuesday show. Zay, do I have a shot here?
Nah.
No?
I'd like to think you would, but nah.
Person's name or like a group name?
He was in a group, but this is a person.
I don't know. KRS-One. I have no idea.
From half court on Steph Curry's birthday.
Did I get it?
You got it.
There we go.
Wow.
Don't ask me why those things
Why
happen.
did you say that?
Because there was something familiar about the voice, and I can see him with that big wide nose of his, and that great,
he has a schnoz.
and that great presence of his.
Yeah.
And I saw a couple videos back in the day, so that's why I said it. I just decided if I was going to go, that's my one guess. That was the one name that popped in my head.
Pretty good.
KRS-One.
KRS-One.
That guy's got high levels of respect in the game, correct?
Tons.
That's a guy I need to listen to. I haven't listened to like track after track after track, but I know he's got a lot of love.
Yeah, he's that type of guy where you could hear somebody like Nas or Jay-Z said, this was a guy I looked up to when I got in the game of hip-hop.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if they've said that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, he's that grandfather then type of brother, criminal-minded. Yeah, he's a hip-hop legend.
Fair enough. All right, I'm proud of myself on that one.
I'm proud, too.
KRS-One, The Fugees, Alice Cooper, Aretha Franklin, and George Michael. Quite a combo. Vixen and Crystal Waters, all on the show today. Plus that Young Jeezy beat to start the hour was great. We love our music around here. We are going to take a little break from the album swap discussion this week because it's Tournament Thursday. We don't want to get in the way of that. And remember, also on Thursday, Ball Don't Lie, going to be out at Twin Peaks Round Rock. That is where the crew's going to be for watching the tech around, watching my Aggies and Penn State. I've already told my wife, I got to work. Honey, I got to work. I got to work. Really, Twin Peaks Round Rock, you got to work? Yes, I do. Sometimes it's a tough job. And then Friday, Zay and I are going to be at Twin Peaks. Honey, I got to work. 12 to 3, Stastny location. We're going to be watching the Friday games. And at that point, one or both of us could be really, really happy or really, really sad based on what happens Thursday night.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where we are. Or we could both sit down knowing that our teams are going to play each other in the second round.
That'll be fun.
For a trip to the Sweet
That'll be
16.
fun to prep for that.
That could be crazy. So Friday's show is going to be good one way or the other. So come see us at Twin Peaks, Round Rock location Thursday, Stastny on Friday. All right.
No stress, no seeds, no stems, no sticks.
Yes, indeed. Stems and Seeds, avconsultations.com or call 255-8678. Somebody texted us. You were talking about brackets and how to pick them. I have a church fantasy league. I'm going to make picks based on the likelihood that the mascot goes to heaven. So sorry, Blue Devils. And to all the dog teams are going to do well. So the dogs are going to do well. Blue Devils not so well.
So
what about
I guess Gonzaga is the best dog.
Gonzaga's got to be in there. Then what do you think about a Longhorn? Does Bevo go to heaven?
Hell yeah, Bevo goes to heaven.
So I'm just asking this particular texter if they think Bevo's going to heaven. Maybe Texas has a shot.
Yeah.
They don't like Blue Devils, so if you're a devil or a demon or something like that, I guess you don't get. In. All right, Zay. So here it was. Darren Waller is going to be a New York Giant. And the Giants gave up a third-round pick to get him. And I'm sorry, as a Cowboys fan, I'm going to take that personally. They may lose Dalton Schultz. You could have had Waller for a third-round pick. Hello?
Yeah. I think you forgot to say third-round pick and a couple of slices of New York pizza along with that for Darren Waller.
I don't know. I don't know if that's what it was or not. I don't know. Am I overcooking Darren Waller? You'd want him on your team, wouldn't you?
Hell yes.
To me,
hell yes.
I don't know where he would fall. He's top 10 tight ends in the league right now for me, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's top 5.
He was hurt a lot this past year, though.
And maybe that's it. Maybe he's banged up a little bit. Boy, I like the idea of that. Giants trying to kind of recapture what they had a little bit with Evan Ingram earlier. Darren Waller is going to be wearing That red, white, and blue. That's a little tough for me to deal with as a Cowboys fan. But I do like that the Cowboys re-signed Donovan Wilson. Cowboys, as of tomorrow and the first day of business in the NFL, lots of free agents that they may end up losing. Already lost Connor McGovern. He's headed to Buffalo. There are other big names that could be gone, like Leighton Vander Esch and some others. We'll keep you up to date on all of that. And remember, Texas baseball tonight against North Dakota State, the first of two. They'll go back-to-back tonight and tomorrow. LeBaron Johnson on the hill for Texas. If you haven't seen him, get on over to the dish and check it out. Always invite you to check out Ball